Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Danny Mac, Brooke Grimsley, and Matthew Rocchio. And when I can start the day with Matthew Rocchio shaking his head and saying, unbelievable, I'm a happy camper. I'm really happy.
He's not the only one. A lot of people drive and go, come on, man. Really? And then the guy sitting to your right go, really? Here we go.
Not dead yet.
Not dead yet is right.
27 St. Louis Cardinals on their way to 100 victories.
That's what they need to have on a shirt or something. Somebody needs to put that on a shirt right now.
Not dead yet.
Exactly. Yeah. The Cardinals are alive. Andre Pallante? Oh, there we go. Here we go. He is so tickled with himself, Dan.
Good job. Not yet dead.
Oh, my gosh. Randy. It's 7:01. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers.
Also,
Randy, when I ask you movie quote or song, and you say movie quote, that's a song. That can't go over YouTube.
Darn it.
Oh,
Cardinals
man.
win over the Reds yesterday, 5-3. Andre Pallante was outstanding for the Redbirds. And Nolan Gorman is apparently hot again. He hit a home run, so that was a good thing. He went 2 for 5. His batting average up to 220, and the Redbirds off to a good start on the trip, starting off 2-1.
Yeah, Matt Carpenter hit a home run too. His first with the Cardinals since 2021. So good for Matt Carpenter, as you mentioned, Nolan Gorman. But I think honestly the biggest story was Andre Pallante. Was anybody expecting that from him? I mean, 6 innings of shutout ball from Andre Pallante.
What did I say? 4 innings and 3 runs? That's what I was hoping for?
I think we all were around 4 innings, 5 innings. If you got 6, you thought, man, what a great start that is. I thought his 2-seamer into right-handers was the key. He's able to get ground balls. The key double play turned in the first inning, kind of took the pressure off him. You know, just settle in, see what you can do. I thought he had great velocity. He was hitting mid-90s, 96. Off speed was sharp. He changed the eye level with a lot of his pitches, which makes it very tough. And, guys, he only had 53 pitches at the start of the 5th inning.
Yeah.
You talk about being efficient. That's about as efficient as you get in this day and age.
Yeah, and then a much-needed 1-2-3 inning, second inning for him. I thought also, too, the quotes afterwards from Andre Pallante, where he talked specifically about his conversation with Ollie Marmol when Ollie was sitting him down, and he had that conversation about him about, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a starter? What's happening here? And I thought that was very telling about Ollie Marmol's relationship with the players, but also it was a good decision by Ollie to do that. So you have to give him a lot of credit there, because obviously it worked out. Andre said that his preference is to start, and it looked like it worked out for him.
I was surprised. I thought when he went down, he wanted to be stretched out as a starter, so it would give him more innings to work on more of his pitches that were ineffective here at the major league level. So I'm with you, Brooke. I was surprised. I didn't think he would come back up as a starter. I thought it would just be more of a long relief guy if he needed that, and those are kind of obsolete in today's day and age of baseball. But I thought it was more about technically getting better with his pitches. And now that he's stretched out as a starter, I look at, if you get every 5th day and he gives you, you know, a decent start, you're buying time. You're buying time. You know, now you got another 5 days with your number, you know, your 1 through 4. But if he emerges, he doesn't go anywhere. If he pitches like he did yesterday, you keep him right in there.
Absolutely. It's the old thing, and it's with every single Cardinal starter. Now, there are starting pitchers in baseball that I would have greater expectations for, but for every single Cardinal starter, and this includes Sonny Gray, if I can get a quality start every time out, I'm going to be a happy camper. If I can get 6 innings and 3 earned runs allowed, I'm going to be a happy guy.
So since Ollie was ejected, they're now 12-3.
And since Matt Carpenter came back.
That's right. He's helped.
Yep.
Don't overlook it.
He's led them to 12 victories in 15 games.
Well, to Brooks' point, Randy, he did hit a home run yesterday.
He did.
Okay. He's doing what you thought he might do.
Hey, you know what? It's
actually a little bit better.
I was going to say more than I expected, honestly.
There was a lot of consternation about his signing. And I said the morning after the signing when we were talking about it, and there was the text line was going crazy. And I said, look, if our biggest concern is the 26th player on the roster. We got a pretty damn good team.
Yeah, exactly.
But he has been better than I think anybody could have reasonably expected.
So I'm going to dive into the numbers here a little bit, if I may.
Yes.
And I know it's maybe boring radio, but maybe it hits you over the head and you're like, wow, well, that's why they're winning these games. The starters in this 12-3 stretch have an ERA at 3. They have 6 quality starts, 6 or more innings, 7 times, 3 earned runs or fewer, 10 times. I mean, that is going to get it done. And then you mix it in with the offense. They're averaging 5.5 runs per game in the 12-3 stretch. You'll take that. They lead the National League in batting average at 280. On-base percentage is 350. OPS and slugging percentage, they lead. So if you get good starting pitching matching up with, obviously, a lineup that's producing like they are, it's a combination for winning. So this shouldn't be a surprise when you're putting up those numbers that you're not, having the kind of success that they are.
It felt like it was a very complete game yesterday. One, you have Andre Pallante going 6 innings, as we talked about, but then the bullpen wasn't exactly perfect. There was a few bumps there, but the offense, they were able to not only add on early, but then tack on some more later and just continue to do what they've been doing lately.
Yeah, those late runs were huge because Helsley hit another speed bump, and he's still throwing 100.
Yeah, he is.
But I think a day off will help Ryan Helsley. It's kind of weird. Would he go 8 days earlier without pitching when they were losing, when they lost the 7 in a row? And now, this week, he's kind of been overused. So I think today will give him an opportunity to recharge the batteries and just get the crispness. He's still throwing hard, but he needs that crispness of especially his breaking stuff back.
And Romero gets a little time off, gets a little reprieve here from yesterday and then the off day today. I think I'm right about this, but in June, I think they only have like 2 off days. It's a really hefty schedule coming up. And Randy, you mentioned Nolan Gorman. So since May 10th, he's hitting 340, 6 home runs, over a 1,200 OPS. So remember, we were coming in here with the 7-game losing streak, and you're saying, man, the corner guys got to produce, and you thought the young guys would take that step forward. Maybe that's happening right now with Nolan Gorman. And you're going to have to live with the strikeouts. They're going to happen with him, but he's going to walk into his fair share of home runs, and he did that again. Did it again yesterday, and he's been one of the hottest hitters in this lineup. You can just see, like, the team is playing with more confidence.
Yeah.
And then you look at individuals, and you're like, Nolan Gorman is a confident guy at the plate. It just looks different.
I said on the air, and I hoped I was right when things were bad. I said I thought it was good hitters that just weren't hitting well. And now I think we're seeing good hitters that are all of a sudden hitting well.
And clicking at the same time. Yeah. You can have, like Mason Wynn hit pretty well during the losing skid. He was the only one. That you looked at and said, okay, who else is going to do something? And that's what they've gotten. Since May 12th, going 12-3 right now, they've gained 5 games on Milwaukee, 7 on Chicago. Then you look at the wild card, 5.5 on the Braves, 4 on the Padres. So they've gotten right back in the thick of this thing.
Mason Wynn, by the way, 18-game hitting streak for him. How much longer is this going to go on for? I know that we were discussing it the other day. There's a lot left.
127 or something like that? So 145 game hitting streak.
Okay, there you go. Very reasonable. We're not going to put that, not too much pressure on Mason there to do that. But he's been such a exciting player to watch this season. Young guy. I know that last year was really rough for him, but whatever he did during the offseason, and maybe it was just, getting that, little bit of time in the majors under his belt, knowing what he needed to do in the offseason. But this year is exactly what I think everybody was hoping from Mason Wynn.
Brooke, I think you hit the nail on the head there, because historically he always struggled right off the bat at his newest level, whether it was moving to AA or AAA, and then he took off and found himself athletically. He has no limitations. He's a major league player. There's a 5-tool major league player, but he just needed the opportunity to adapt. And I think in today's society, and it's not just us, it's people within the sport, they judge players so quickly. And again, credit to the Cardinals with him and with Ivan Herrera for not judging too quickly and giving those guys an opportunity to get better. And they'll wind up doing that with Jordan Walker, too. Hopefully he winds up ascending the way that these two have.
I think they need him. At some point this year, they need Jordan Walker to be Jordan Walker. And I guess if there's a couple of different things. I'm going to go back to Mason Wynn. He's a good bad ball hitter. That double that he hit yesterday was a key double. He stayed on the pitch. So I was looking. I was like, man, he's getting a lot of hits with balls down in the zone, like the home run that he hit at Busch Stadium.
Where he golfed it.
I'm thinking, how's he doing this? He's a good bad ball hitter. He's hitting 348 on those pitches. He's got a 455 slug. So there's a number for everything, but you can look at bad ball pitches and say, well, what's a guy doing? And how do you pitch him? And do you pitch him in the zone? Do you pitch him away? Do you pitch him in? And he's a bad ball hitter. And Randy brought up the point the other day, and he's 100% right. And it's like I'm talking like Randy's in his car right now. Randy's to my left. But you brought up the point of how do you keep a hitting streak going? Well, if you can bunt, you can do that. And if you have speed to beat out certain plate appearances and hits on the infield, you can beat those out. And so it makes it fun. It makes it fun to watch him play because he brings the element of excitement, the big arm, the great range, and he's getting it done at the plate. So a lot of credit to him.
By the way, last night, Jordan Walker in Memphis 1 for 5. And we've talked a lot about the starting pitchers. Thank goodness that Pallante threw well yesterday. Michael McGreevy, 4 2/3, 9 runs, 7 earned. He walked 3 and struck out 3, and his earned run average is now 5.81. But he allowed 9 runs, 7 earned on 9 hits in 4 2/3.
The other part of this, too, is Lars Newpar.
Yes.
So he had to leave yesterday with soreness in his side. He's going to be evaluated today. You know, if you had to put him on the IL, does that clear a way for one of these guys to come up? Maybe a Jordan Walker, ignite him. I just think you've got to be really careful with him that if he comes up, he's got to stay. If he produces a little bit, he's got to stay because you just don't want to have him going up and down throughout the season.
This is a question from DoorDash Steve. We're dominating without Walker. It's not a fluke at this point. So maybe I'm trying to understand what they're saying here. So they're trying to say that they're dominating because Walker is not here?
I think the point is that the Cardinals can be better. That if you get the Walker that you had in the last couple of months last year, that you can be even better.
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah, that's where I go with that, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they've been really good. They've won 12 of their last 15. That is not a fluke. Everybody's going to have their good streaks during the course of the season. The Dodgers had their bad streak. The Mets are having a pretty bad streak themselves.
Boy, that's gotten awful, hasn't it?
That's more than a spiral.
Yeah,
That's
we're
a
going to talk
collapse.
about that as we go along here. But the point is that from an ability standpoint, as we sit here today, this is not a fluke. But we have to remember it's a 6-month season, and there's going to be injury, and especially there's going to be fatigue on these 34, 35, 36, 37-year-old starting pitchers. As great as those numbers are, Dan, that you referenced there, let's see what happens in August. That's all I can say.
Because easily you could go 3-12.
Easily.
Yeah, and you just saw them come out of a horrible start to the season, really. I mean, if you compare it to last year, it was for a while, it was right on par for what they were doing last year. I think signs of a good team are like yesterday, though, too. Frankie Montas did not have a put-away pitch. He just didn't. He'd get 2 strikes on a hitter, and he couldn't put him away. Good teams make you pay.
Right.
And they made him pay yesterday. So it'll be fun to see what they do in Philly. They've got Michaelis lined up. They've got, let's see, who else is going to go? Sonny and Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
So you got 3 guys that have, at least 2 of the 3 have pitched well. It can be fun to watch. It is. And it's going to be a good measuring stick of where you're at.
Hockey last night, the Stars grabbed a 2-0 lead over Edmonton, but Edmonton scored 5 in a row. Even their series at 2 games apiece with a 5-2 victory. Connor McDavid assisted on 3 of the 5 unanswered goals. And I got to tell you guys, live game and good game. And I am flipping back and forth between that hockey game and a 4-year-old Last Dance documentary. I just can't turn away from Last Dance every time it's on.
It's so good. So you're flipping. That's
I get there right at the flu game. How can you turn away from the flu game?
So did our talk about documentaries make you just stop and watch?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I was thinking about that as I watched it. And I don't care if this was slanted one way or the other or not. But Michael Jordan is the best player that ever lived.
I agree.
Yes.
Nobody's ever going to change my mind about that. It's all due respect to everybody else who ever did play. But this guy was a monster. He was, if he was going to slay you, that was a really good Utah team with 2 Hall of Famers in Stockton and Malone. And they had a lot of good ancillary parts and a Hall of Fame coach. And when the chips were down and it was a 2-point game, even Scottie Pippen said, we knew what was going to happen. He's the greatest player in the world.
Everybody on the floor did.
Yep, and it happened.
I just find, I was thinking about this last night. So Dallas comes out, makes it 2-0, then Edmonton comes back, wins big. I can't find anything more compelling than watching the NHL playoffs and maybe Game 7 of a World Series because I love postseason baseball and the strategy that goes into it. But, man, there's nothing like watching the NHL playoffs. Even when your team's not in it, it's just so compelling to watch.
And last night was such high drama because Skinner, the Edmonton goalie, has struggled. And he allows 2 goals on the first 4 shots, and then he stops 20 in a row to close out the game.
There's just so much drama with it. I think it's the best playoffs out there. I know that there's a lot of others that are close, but it's the fact that you know that whoever comes out on top, they definitely deserved it because those players are banged up all season, and then they get to the playoffs, and they are truly putting in their effort every single moment. There's no way of doubting it.
I love seeing the crowd's reaction with goals.
Yeah,
I love seeing it. It's one of my favorite things in sports.
And one other thing here, and I've got a point, but
that would be the home team, I should say, too.
Dan, you probably asked this question, too. I once asked Gary Pinkel, I said, do you have like a massive headache after every game because of his face during the game, the furrowed brow, and he just looked like a guy who had a headache for 3 hours. And he said, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Chris Knobloch, the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, has that exact same look like, oh, my God, this headache is the worst thing. A bottle of Advil wouldn't cure this thing.
And you know these guys haven't slept, and they're going over video, and then they're trying to get their team ready, and then you have practice, and then you can't sleep when you do the daytime, the nap that they take before games, and then you have the pregame meal, and probably that's ready to come up because they want to throw up. So, yeah, it's not a really good way to live your life, I would assume. No. But on the 1st and 15th, it's pretty good when you get paid.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So, and if you're Edmonton, it's always nice to have Paul Coffey as one of your assistant coaches.
Yes.
He's a pretty
He
good
doesn't
player.
get enough credit for how good he was on those Edmonton teams.
He was on every team he was on.
Yeah,
he
that's
was really
true.
good. But he was a key part. Obviously, Gretzky and Messier were the key parts, but he's the guy that set everything up. And he wasn't a great defender, but they didn't need to play defense.
But he can move the puck on that kind of team.
Like nobody else ever has.
Exactly.
It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho!
It's a winning streak, yo-ho.
Oh, there we go. Sick of it. Coming up next on 101 ESPN. Sick of it here on 101 ESPN. And guys, Jorge Lopez of the Mets, we mentioned the Mets earlier. He got tossed from yesterday's game against the Dodgers. And as he was leaving the field, he took his glove and he threw it over the net and into the stands. And then after the game...
Hat popped off, too.
Yeah, hat popped off. After the game, told reporters that he plays for the worst team in all of blanking MLB. I'm sick of the Mets overreacting, and now they're going to DFA the guy just because he threw a glove in the stands and said, "We are the worst blanking team in MLB." Come on. Give the guy a break. He was mad.
Yeah. I haven't seen that in a while.
No.
I saw Julian Tavares throw his glove into the crowd, and then Major League Baseball went, maybe it was his hat, not his glove, maybe it was his hat. He had all that sticky stuff on the bill of his cap, and they were like trying to get that to say, hold on here, what's going on? But yeah, that was quite a scene yesterday in Queens.
It was great. So he said he plays for the worst team in probably the whole blanking MLB. I really hope that when he's DFA'd that the Rockies trade for him.
Oh, man.
Or the A's.
Yeah.
Although
Right.
the A's have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, the Mets do have a lot going on. Now, I will say, I don't know if you saw Manny Gomez, who's the beat reporter for the Mets, one of the beat reporters for the Mets. He put out this tweet last night. He said, Lopez did not call the Mets the worst team. English is not his first language, and I can understand why you may think he did. This is what he actually said. I think I've been looking like the worst teammate probably in the whole blanking MLB.
So Steve Gelbs said he asked Jorge Lopez if he regretted throwing his glove into the stands. Not only did he say no, he then called the Mets, as what you just said. He said, I later gave him a chance to clarify, and he confirmed that's what he meant.
There's so telling.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. Yeah, there was a bunch of reporters who were like, wait, let's go back to him and ask him. And he doubled down, which is easily my favorite part. I'm the worst player on the worst team. What an that's the best clarification anyone has ever given to a quote.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, they are in the Mets. There just seems to be a lot going on. Because did you also see the video of Harrison Bader where they asked him his Mount Rushmore of New York athletes, and it was all Yankees players.
Yeah. The great Rick Hummel would do this every once in a while, and God rest his soul, and a Hall of Fame writer, but he was the only guy covering the team outside of the radio guys with Jack and Mike and others that once TV was implemented, there'd be some of those guys covering the team, but he would go down in the heat of the moment. Clubhouse would open up. Guys would say some things that probably they didn't want to say in the heat of the moment, and to his credit, he would go back down there and say, are you sure that you wanted to say this?
Yeah. Yep.
And the player would say, probably not. This is what I meant to say. So it didn't get in the papers, and, it didn't throw a guy under the bus. And I always respected him for doing that. I really did.
He was great. By the way, right off the top of my head, if you go Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, Mantle, I know you've got LT. I know you've got Gretzky and Messier. You've got a lot of. You've got all the great Knicks that you want to put on there. But if you wanted to go all Yankees with the New York Mount Rushmore, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
And Seaver would be the only Met that you'd put up there, right?
Seaver,
not good, not Strawberry.
No, not Hernandez.
Not
Hojo.
Not Nolan Ryan when he was there.
He was all over the place when he figured it out after he left New York.
So I don't think there is a Met that you put on. I don't think you'd even consider a Met for the New York Mount Rushmore.
Well, Ben Verlander, Justin Verlander's brother, who also does a lot of podcasting, he was saying that, maybe you just kind of put out a courtesy Mets player. And I'm like, I think Harrison's been very honest that he grew up a Yankees fan, excuse me, and obviously he played for the Yankees for a little bit, so I didn't see anything wrong with it necessarily.
Let's look at it this way. You put a courtesy Met on, okay? So you just named the 4 Yankees that I just named, and you didn't put Derek Jeter on it. So...
And he had Derek Jeter on his.
So is there any Met going to pass Derek Jeter or Mickey Mantle or Joe DiMaggio or Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig?
I mean, the only one is Tom Seaver. That's the only one. And in the argument of saying
close,
that.
Right?
Yes, exactly. And I don't think he does.
I agree.
No. So last week, Randy, you talked about some of the narratives that we see out there where we really like to break down and specifically look at certain players in the NBA and the overreaction of it. I'm sick of the overanalysis of Jason Tatum and every little thing that he's doing that.
too.
I'm sorry, Dan. We think a lot alike
we
sometimes.
Sure do, but
I
go
wish
ahead.
I could think
Go
more
ahead.
like you.
I've got.
in a lot
I
of
always
ways.
write down a couple just in case.
Well, so the over-analysis of Jason Tatum's demeanor, they are looking for any single reason to pick him apart, and it led to whatever this conversation was on Get Up yesterday.
And when Jaylen Brown wins that award, and the moment that it happens, the rest of the team just goes crazy. And you were talking about it in our meeting earlier this morning. They all were so genuinely, look at them, they're all so genuinely excited for him. And you did not seem to think that it was mirrored in Jason Tatum.
I think Jason was just shocked. I think he played well down the stretch. He led them in rebounding. It was something that you wouldn't expect him to do. You think that a big man would take care of that, but I think Jason Tatum was shocked.
In the video, Jason Tatum, which if you saw after, he's smiling, he's congratulating him. What are we doing here? I mean, in the clip, he looks so excited for him, and he has nothing but great things to say about Brown. Also, in all of his comments, all of his teammates, he has only said great things. And it feels like Tatum isn't giving anybody any ammunition, so they have to just start making things up. So I'm sick of that.
I think he's ESPN's punching bag.
It's crazy.
The whole platform.
And if you haven't watched him, he's pretty even keel on the floor when he's dunking on guys and shooting over guys and making threes and putting up an average of 30 points. Not to say he does it quietly, I guess, but he's putting up numbers. And to your point, Brooke, if you look at the video, they highlight him. So they just they keep his face and they kind of darken out everything else. You know how you just focus on what he's smiling. He's jumping on guys a little bit and, doing the celebration with the ball. What are we doing here?
Unbelievable.
And if you guys have met Jason Tatum in person, because he comes to town and does a lot of great charity events, that's just kind of how he is. That was actually more emotion in that video that they decide to highlight than I feel like you see a lot of the times for him.
Let the guy just celebrate in his own manner, and he is celebrating. All right. I'm sick of Tyler O'Neill going on the IL. Boston had to put him on the IL again with right knee inflammation. I love watching this guy play because he could do anything on the field. He could win you a Gold Glove, which he's done. He could hit home runs, which he's done. He could finish in the top 10 of MVP. He's done that. I'm just sick of him going on the IL. There were so many times that he went on the IL with the Cardinals. He's got 11 home runs, 17 runs batted in. I watch baseball nonstop. I'm always flipping through games, and when I come upon a Boston game, if I know he's in the lineup and his spot is coming up, I stop and watch. Sick of this dude going on the IL, man.
With apologies to the former underrated football Cardinal quarterback Neil Lomax. What is he, made of glass?
Right. Can I throw in another sick of it? This is kind of, pulling the crowd, our listening audience behind the curtain here. I'm sick of my phone not being able to respond to the group text that we're on.
It's weird.
It is weird.
So I had to text Randy separately yesterday with some of the show ideas. And because I can't get on, I can't text you guys. Yeah. I don't know what I did. I'm not technically savvy like you guys are, especially Brooke.
I can't figure that out.
Well, sometimes I am savvy.
Because I don't know Bumble and I don't know Swipe, Tinder, and I don't know any of that. You're right, I shouldn't. It's definitely right. I'm happily married.
Matthew, you got a couple of texts for us?
Sorry, Brooke, but I'm sick of Lars Newbar and his inability to stay on the field.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are happening. So
they are. Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation, unite. We need to keep Newt
they're
on the
rallying
field.
around him right now.
We
Randy.
will rally around Lars Newt. We will play good baseball.
We said that, though, in the beginning of the season. He's got to stay on the field for 140 games, let's say, and be able to play and contribute. And, right now he's just not been able to do that early in his career.
No.
I'm sick of Matthew yawning when he's supposed to be reading a text.
Tired.
You are tired, buddy.
Georgia tired.
Excuse me, sorry. I have to get this yawn out. Bite me, Danny Mac.
Oh.
I'm sick of my 11-month-old son teething. Grow in already!
Grow in already?
Grow in the teeth. Yeah, I'm with you. That's why you have those frozen binkies. You put the frozen. Just give him a frozen binky and he'll be golden.
You're not supposed to dip the binky in whiskey anymore?
Oh, there's schools of thought that that's not a bad thing.
You're not supposed to do that anymore? Yeah. Oh, okay. Sick of all these Little League parents and coaches acting like idiots after every close call.
Mike Matheny, when he was coaching Little League Baseball, he told the parents not to cheer at all, either way.
Matheny Manifesto.
Yep, exactly.
In his book.
Yeah. So I don't disagree with that idea. Don't cheer for them, don't cheer against them.
I've had coaches on my Little League teams, my guys' Little League teams, that have told the parents, like, you're just to sit. Like, don't say anything. Don't question how we coach. Certainly do not go after the umpires. If any of that stuff happens, we will take care of it as the coaches. And I think that's the right approach.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your text. We do appreciate it. Greg Amsinger, MLB Network, next on 101 ESPN.
Your Honor, I object. We haven't started yet. Can I approach the bench? No. Well, that's a shame because I have big news, probably the biggest.
I think he's talking about Frank Lita Mitsubishi and the automotive outlet.
Why?
It's their biggest spring sales event ever.
And it's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down. New Mitsubishis plus acres of only the best pre-owned vehicles.
All makes, all models. Order! Order in the court. And as for credit, amnesty.
If you've got a job and a dime, you ride.
This court is in recess. We're going to Missouri's #1 Mitsubishi dealer.
Frank Lita Mitsubishi.
In the automotive outlet.
In Bridgeton.
YesLita.com.
YesLita.com. #1 claim based on the national report as of 4/1/24. New 24 Outlander, 39.1, dime down, $721 a month for 72 months at 10% APR, plus tax tag title to qualified buyers.
Someone's got to say it. Let it be you. Use the mic drop feature in the 101 ESPN app. Search the 101 ESPN app now in the App Store or Google Play.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals get a win in their series against the Reds with a 5-3 victory yesterday. They will be off today before starting a series against the Phillies on Friday evening with a 5:40 first pitch. Last night, the Oilers come back from down 2-0 early to win their game 5-2 against the Stars. That series is now evened up at 2 games apiece. Speaking of even series, Panthers and Rangers game 5 tonight on 101 ESPN starting at 6:30. And on the NBA side, it's Mavs and T-Wolves game 5. The Mavs lead with 3-1 right now in the series. That's tonight with a 7:30 tip-off. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mac, Randy Carricker, the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. Greg Amsinger is the lead anchor at MLB Network. He, of course, is a product of the Lindenwood University and a native of St. Louis, and joins us now here on the opening drive. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I learned from the best. Randy Carricker, my ultimate mentor, and I learned from Randy years ago that a birthday isn't good enough. A birthday week is appropriate for some people, and like you, Randy, I take at least 4 straight days off, and that was part of why I was late for class last week. And not that I have an excuse or anything. I'm not reading from a note. Don't roll your eyes. I can hear you rolling your eyes right now.
I can feel that the Gregapalooza occurred.
Yeah. You know what? Wild. Wifey was like, hey, we got to get up. And I thought there was a fire. It's 3:45 in the morning, right? She's like, a car's coming to take us to the airport. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, is she packed for me already? So I didn't have to do any packing. She said, jump in the shower. I'm like a zombie at the airport. Went to New Orleans. We had friends there. It was awesome birthday week. But unfortunately, while I was on the plane, I realized while I was having my mimosa, that I missed your radio show, and I felt terrible about that.
Well, it's completely worth it, and that story is worth you missing a segment because you getting flown to New Orleans in a surprise ambush is really cool. So what was your favorite thing about the New Orleans trip?
Yeah, the food was amazing. I absolutely loved it. But we did play some golf, and I was a little disappointed with TPC Louisiana. Got to be honest, that PGA event was there. It was good, but it wasn't great. We went to a place an hour away. I think it was in Covington, Louisiana, called Money Hill Golf Club. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. There's an island green that is just awesome, par 3. And I parted. So anyway, that Money Hill is what you should check out. It's a bit of a drive, and part of the drive there is a 31-mile long bridge. And yeah, and if you get sick, there's no shoulder. So it's 2 lanes each way, 31-mile bridge. So anyway, it's cool to check out, and that was the highlight for me. All the food was amazing, music great, but Money Hill.
All right, let's talk. Well, I'll tell you one 30-second story. One of the times I went to a lot of Super Bowls in New Orleans, I had never been to Pat O'Brien's. And as you know, all of you know, I'm not a drinker. And I had a Hurricane ordered for me. And I started drinking a Hurricane, and it tastes like like an icy from 7-Eleven. So
my gosh, this is the greatest story ever. Go ahead.
So I'm sucking through this straw like I'm having a Slurpee because it tastes exactly the same. And I thought, I didn't even realize that there was alcohol in this thing. And so I finish it like in 2 minutes. I finished this Hurricane at Pat O'Brien's, and I start feeling a little bit dizzy, and I say, I got to go to the bathroom. And I get up and boom, I face plant right away. I was so drunk and I had no idea. So I had to be helped off and back to the chair and then to the restroom. Yeah, it was rough.
Did anyone take pictures of you face planted on the floor?
Fortunately, this was like 1989. It was I think it was the Broncos 49ers Super Bowl. So fortunately, it was we didn't have the cameras in our phones at that point.
Oh my goodness! I wish I was there, Randy. It would have been quite the moment. Quite the moment.
Oh man! So let's start with this: the Cardinals 27-27, real or fake?
I said real. I have been a loyalist, have I not been, on this show, the St. Louis Cardinals? They've won 10 of the last 13 games. I don't care who they're playing, what the schedule says. This is a team that's starting to click all at the same time. And it was inevitable that Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado were going to play eerily similar to how they played in their careers. 3 rookies that they're leaning on right now. Mason Wynn, 3 more hits yesterday. I love watching this kid play. Ivan Herrera, kudos to him for being the guy behind the plate for the majority of the time while Contreras has been out. He's done a terrific job. The 3 guys they went and got are doing exactly what they hoped the 3 guys that they went and got would do. And, Lynn giving them innings. Kyle Gibson has been outstanding. Sonny Gray is not going 7 innings, but the 5 innings he goes, he's great. So this is exactly how we thought this club would be playing right now. Tied for second. I think they're surging. I think the Brewers should watch out. Everyone in the division should watch out because the Cardinals have, and I know no one wants to believe this because the first month and a half of the season was just haywire, but they have depth, actually. They have depth. And if Ryan Helsley can stop giving up runs in the ninth, that's the only thing watching him in Cincinnati is getting these saves, but he's giving up runs. I don't want it to be a top step situation. He got up to a great start this year, but if he gets really settled in again, maybe give us a break. The back end of the bullpen will always be the key for the Cardinals if they're going to make that leap forward into the playoffs.
Well, Greg, just as we all expected, too, Andre Pallante might be the answer for the Cardinals' 5th starter search. What did you think of his outing yesterday?
He was outstanding, Brooke. I mean, just had total command of all of his pitches. And in that ballpark, too, to make one mistake and his launching pad, get the ball on the ground. I love the way he worked on the mound. I loved his body language. This is something he's wanted as well. And the Cardinals, I think, will probably be a team that as they are every year, in search of one more guy, but he has now quite the amount of time in front of him to prove to the club that he's the answer in that rotation. What I like about this rotation right now is there's no surprise coming. If Lance Lynn gives up 3 runs in the second inning, they're not getting the bullpen up. Like, they've signed these guys to do what they're supposed to do. And you're going to see Gibson and Lynn be the automatic at least 6-inning guys, maybe 7-inning guys. And they're hoping that at some point maybe a Steven Matz can get back into the situation and figure things out. But Pallante was outstanding yesterday. And if the Cardinals can somehow get a pleasant surprise in the rotation, anything can happen for this club. Because what I said before, with Gray and Gibson and Lynn, it's what they wanted and expected from them. Now they get a pleasant surprise behind them to make this club extra unique going forward.
Gray, Gibson, Lynn, and a lot of people rolled their eyes at that. I'm curious, copycat leagues, not just MLB, but we're focusing on Major League Baseball. I wonder, Greg, if more teams are going to take a look at how the Cardinals have done this. And again, it's early, 2 months into the season, but if it sticks, if more teams will look at doing these kind of deals instead of the long-term deals of, $200 million for just one guy.
I think you're right on it. You can't expect young pitchers. I mean, remember George Kirby for the Seattle Mariners? Sure. He knew exactly when he needed to come out of the game. They're all trained based on pitch counts when they should come out of the game. I think you can protect young starters by signing veteran starters. And that might not make any sense to you, but if you've got a young guy that you're developing and he's a year 1, year 2 starting pitcher, you need to go get a couple of veterans to give that bullpen a bit of a break so they're ready to go after 5 innings on the young guy starting pitching day. And this is going to be a bit of a time analysis that front offices are going to have to look at, how they break down innings to protect young guys they're trying to develop to be a number 1 or a number 2 starter in the rotation. The veterans, we've been talking about in Major League Baseball, the 34 to 37 or 8-year-old veteran pitcher is being pushed out of the game. They think they're damaged goods. What we're seeing from Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson is going to help that cause. I mean, the Players Association should love this. If you are a veteran starting pitcher, you know what you're wearing. You know you're the guy that's giving innings and giving a break to the bullpen. I think if it works, and this is working right now for the St. Louis Cardinals, like you said, it is a copycat league. You will, of course, see more veteran starting pitchers get a 1-year flyer deal to help nurture young starters and protect the bullpens on days that those guys have to pitch.
Greg, earlier this week, MLB announced that the official historical record will now include players of the Negro Leagues. What's something that we need to know about this initiative and this process that has brought now Josh Gibson to the fore as the leading hitter in Major League history? What are some of the things that you took out of it?
Well, look, when you talk about fairness and equality, nothing defines that more in the world of sports than what Major League Baseball just did. They were not allowed to play Major League Baseball. They played, yes, some former big leaguers. They played some Major League players in exhibition games, but for the most part, they were playing only African-American players. And for some reason, those stats weren't decided as equal, even though Ty Cobb was only playing against all white players. Mm-hmm. Those stats were decided. So I just think it's honoring the legends of the game properly. It was a wonderful thing when they, I think over 30 Negro League players were, inducted into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. But this, to me, is actual, real equality and honoring what they did during the Negro Leagues. I mean, Josh Gibson, you can read about him forever. I can't wait till there's a movie made of Josh Gibson, who is essentially Bo Jackson as a catcher. I mean, this is an incredible baseball talent. For him to have this accolade as the greatest career batting average of all time is wonderful. For Satchel Paige and some of his incredible pitching performances in baseball history to be honored statistically is only fair. It's only fair. And I love it. I love it. And I'm going to be going to Rickwood in June for that Major League Baseball game that the Cardinals are playing in against the Giants. I'll be there the day before, the day of, before and after the game, taking in all the ambiance of the oldest functional baseball stadium in the country, 114 years that it's been continuously running the Rickwood Baseball Field in Birmingham, Alabama. To be part of this and the celebration of the Negro Leagues, I think is paramount. It's paramount for the sport wants to go, and that is to be completely diverse and equal of all races and cultures. So it was a great decision and a great move by Major League Baseball.
Should the Cardinals put up the 3 St. Louis Stars championship pennants at Busch Stadium?
Wait, say that one more time.
So the St. Louis Stars, Negro League champions 3 times. Should the Cardinals put up 3 pennants to honor the St. Louis Stars at Busch Stadium?
Absolutely, they should.
I think so, too.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I think, matter of fact, I think other major league organizations need to figure out ways to honor. I mean, Willie Mays' career started in the Negro Leagues. So to retire his jersey, I get it. But I would love to see images when you go to Oracle Park in San Francisco of Willie Mays playing in the Negro Leagues. The greatest Giant you ever had started his career that way. So yeah, I think this is something that the sport collectively must embrace because it's happening now and finally, long overdue. This should have happened decades earlier. So it's great for the sport to see this happen.
All right, last thing. Did you go to have a few of the breakfast delicacies at Cafe Du Monde in Vegas in New Orleans?
No, those little puffy, what do they call those things?
Beignets, yeah.
Yeah, the beignets are overhyped, bro.
What?
Oh, no, they're awesome.
Oh, first off, it's a complete waste of powdered sugar. I mean, they give it to you, and there's like 7 pounds of powdered sugar, and these 3 little donuts are sitting in it. It's like, why? Like, could you imagine if you got a taco at Taco Bell, and there was like 3,500 packets opened up of salsa or sauce and poured all over it? Like, it's a waste of resources. We don't need to do that. I need all of this powdered sugar. Then the line is way too long. I'm not. Give me a Boston cream donut any day over a beignet. Okay. It's not even close.
Okay, as long as you can say that you give me a donut over a beignet. I thought you were going all TV guy on me there.
No, come on now.
Gotta count those calories. The camera adds 10 pounds.
Yeah, don't let my hair fool you, Randy Character. No, I can get down and be an absolute messy pig like any other guy.
You're the best. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much for the time, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
All right, we'll see. Take care, guys.
See you, brother. Greg Amsinger, MLB Network, with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. He's great. Wow, that's pretty cool that he got that opportunity to get kidnapped and taken to New Orleans.
Oh, I would 100% kidnapped. Yes,
yeah.
I would enjoy that type of kidnapping if it led to that. But the beignets, I haven't had them in New Orleans, so I feel like I need to truly judge off that. But I've had them elsewhere, and they're delicious. I like all the powdered sugar.
This is becoming like Super Bowl New Orleans trip. But when the Rams played the Patriots in Super Bowl 36, I did an ESPN hit, said the Rams would cover the spread. I said they'd win by, or not ESPN, CNN, said they'd win by more than 14.5. So I made myself look like a fool on national TV.
Yeah, that's all right.
I do that every day here. But after I did it, it was like 5:30 in the morning. I stopped by Cafe Du Monde and had a dozen beignets on the morning of Super Bowl 36. I had a dozen.
A dozen, cousin?
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot. So you were ready to go, man. You had a lot of sugar in you.
Rocking and rolling that day.
You know, Randy, you said something that really resonated with me, and that's honoring the Stars with championship flags. Now, if you walk into Ballpark Village and you go to the Cardinals Hall of Fame and Museum, there is an ode to the past of that. Mm-hmm. But there's the cool Papa Bell statue. I think there needs to be more done with Tom Alston, who was the first African-American player to play for the Cardinals, and I think that was in 1953, 54.
Yeah, because actually Mr. Bush, Gussie Bush, said, "Where are my black players?"
Mm-hmm. And I just think it's important that our young fans understand the social times and how bad they were, but to have them learn, to have them understand what was it like. It's not just baseball, but where our country was. And I think that's very, very important.
I agree. And there's only 2 official St. Louis Stars championships, although they have another unofficial. In 1928, they beat the Chicago American Giants 5-4 in a best of 9. And then they beat the Detroit Stars 4-3 in 1930. And then in 31, they're awarded the championship, although the statistics are sketchy over the Hillsdale Daisies, but at very least, I think it'd be cool at Busch Stadium to find a place to honor the St. Louis Stars. If we're honoring, Major League Baseball is honoring the Negro Leagues players, then we should honor those teams.
And that's why I like Jackie Robinson Day. I think that's very important to do that so that people can understand every single year the importance of that. But think about in the Cardinals organization, just how many game changers that they had. Even outside of that, when you have Bob Gibson, everything that he did, the stories about how many barriers he broke. Curt Flood, who should be in the Hall of Fame, every single player should know who he is because he is the reason why we have these paydays now for these players.
I don't know. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think they found Cool Papa Bell as a janitor. Like they couldn't find him, and he was a janitor at a school downtown. I think I'm correct with this, but they were digging around trying to find him. They wanted to bring him back, honor him, to recognize him in some form or fashion. But I think he was working as a janitor at the time.
Did you ever interview him?
I did not. I
was
really
lucky
wish I would have been able to.
Yeah, and we both interviewed Buck O'Neill.
Absolutely.
But I asked Cool Papa Bell, because the story is that he was so fast that he could turn off the light switch and be in bed before the light went out. He said, well, the switch wasn't working. It was short in the room, so I turned off the switch, and it took like 3 seconds so I could be in bed before the light went out.
I love it.
But he was great. He was, what a fun man Cool Papa Bell was. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It 10. Send in your text 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
TIOLI next on 101 ESPN. We have an amazing event coming up in St. Louis this summer on Thursday, June 27th. It's NetSuite's Business Grows Here seminar at the Union Station Hotel downtown. And if you are an entrepreneur or if you're running a fast-growing business in St. Louis, you need to know about this. Why St. Louis? Because NetSuite knows St. Louis is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. Apply to attend the business event of the year taking place at the Union Station Hotel on the 27th of June, and you'll learn how Missouri is paving the way for new business growth and capital. See how technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our business. And you'll be inspired by business leaders like Jamie Siminoff. He's the founder of Ring Doorbell, and his next company is going to be headquartered right here in St. Louis. NetSuite by Oracle Business Grows Here is free to attend if you qualify. Apply right now to find out because seats are going quickly. Block out your calendar for Thursday, June 27th. Apply at netsuite.com/Missouri. That's netsuite.com/Missouri.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Decor, Interiors, and Jewelry. I know that Mother's Day has passed, but that doesn't mean that the gift giving has to stop for that special person in your life. So you should go visit my friends over at Decor, Interiors, and Jewelry. It's in Chesterfield at Olive and Woods Mill Road. Right when you walk in, you'll just be blown away by all of the options. If you don't already know, which I know that it's in the name, but sometimes people don't understand this, it's 2 stores in one. A beautiful contemporary furniture store with an amazing jewelry store in the back. The owner, Joe, he's always over there, and he is so nice and kind, and he will truly treat you like family. That's where I got my wedding ring at. I always get so many compliments on it, and I actually went by recently because I had to go pick out my wedding band, and I got sidetracked with Joe and his staff just looking at all of the amazing jewelry they have in stock. And Joe and his staff, they truly do know diamonds and gems. What's big right now? What about a diamond tennis bracelet or a necklace? They have the best quality diamonds in town, and they will really help you, and they will educate you on your purchase. So why not have them help you find the perfect gift for that special person in your life? Go stop by Decor showroom today and tell them I sent you. Decor, always unique, always affordable.
Leave it.
Want to say something? Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time for TIOLI here on 101 ESPN. Get your text in now, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Dateline Dallas kids, Rashee Rice, who's had some difficulty this offseason. Chiefs wide receiver. Yeah, a little bit here or there. But in Dallas, going and giving drinks and pizza to homeless people. He hops on Instagram and says, "It's your boy Double R. We're out here with some water and some pizza in the summertime. Everybody's got to eat, you know. What I'm saying? It's great weather. Let's do it. Take it or leave it." Rashee Rice is delivering fast food.
Oh, Randy, no. I'm going to leave it. Look, he's
Can't
doing
we
a
just
very
appreciate
nice
what he's doing without making a joke? Come on, Randy.
I think he would laugh.
Probably.
I don't know.
I think
maybe not.
This is smart because after he comes back to the NFL, you know, things are a little rough. He's lost some of the endorsements. Jimmy Johnson's going to be right on the phone for him.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, no. What is going on here?
He's freaky good. He's freaky fast.
Yeah. Well,
he's trying to atone, by the way. He says that he's trying to atone for his misdeeds earlier in the offseason, and that's why he's feeding the homeless in Big D.
So what is he going to do to make up for punching the photographer in the face?
Photographer apparently doesn't think it was a deal, so he's not doing anything.
Oh, okay. Conveniently.
Yeah, convenient.
Money talks, you know.
I don't think so. No, he just didn't punch him that hard.
Okay. Take it or leave it. You don't even believe that.
I'll take that.
Okay. So Lars Newbar, as we were talking about, we're going to find out more information about him today because he's dealing with some lingering pain on his left side. Take it or leave it. We will see Jordan Walker sooner than his bobblehead night, which is coming up on June 6th.
Oh, Brooke, that's a good one. I'm going to take that.
I'm going to leave it. He's got to hit. He's got to hit for more power.
So Burley in right. So what's your regular outfield look like? Carlson gets some Carlson in right every night?
Yeah, give him a run.
Left?
Yep.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Yep. You got Donovan as your fourth outfielder or current outfielder.
Or with Coleman. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll leave it then. Yeah.
Okay.
But I wonder who comes up in place of Newt. Probably Fermin comes back, huh?
He can hit a little bit.
Yeah.
Needed a little infield depth if he wanted to go that direction. Makes some sense.
Yeah.
But will he be here for bobblehead night, Randy?
No, neither.
Oh, you're backing off of that one?
Yeah, I'm going to back off of that one.
Okay.
This is very
I think it made a lot of sense, by the way.
It does.
It
from
does.
a business standpoint.
And I kept watching it as we got closer and closer. Like, man, Randy's going to be right about this. It's very like Colton Wong Hawaiian shirt-esque.
But if he
Remember
hits
that?
2 home runs in the next week, he'll be here.
Think so?
Yep. Today is May 30th.
Yeah, I think that
June
makes some
6th.
sense.
If he hits 2 home runs, Walker hits 2 home runs before the bobblehead night, he'll play in the game of the bobblehead night on June 6th.
All right, take it or leave it. Paul Skeens, you probably know him, the pitcher of the Pirates, 23 strikeouts in his first 3 starts. He already has 68 swings and misses in his first 4 starts, second most since baseball began tracking that. Take it or leave it, Skeens will be the National League Rookie of the Year.
I'll take it.
Ooh, National League Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I'll take it.
I think you got Shota Imanaga would be in the conversation, Yamamoto, although he's off to an okay start, not great. His ERA is 3.51. And I think the guy you can't overlook is Mason Wynn right now.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's really put together a solid start to this season.
By the way, Imanaga got roughed up a little bit last
Saw
night. I
that.
don't know if you guys saw that.
Yep.
I bet he wished he faced the Cardinals.
Christian Yelich with a home run against Imanaga, and he was going on extra days rest, too.
By the way, and this is kind of sad, but take it or leave it, Paul Skeens winds up being just like Mark Pryor.
Or even the big boy from Washington, Steven Strasburg. Yeah. I hope not, because he's good for baseball. He's fun
great,
to watch.
yeah.
I'm with you.
Remember the other day we were talking about just, players that you would want to go pay money to see right now. I know we've talked about that a lot. We forgot to mention Paul Skeens.
He's one of them.
I would go and see him.
Yeah, when they come through town, I want to watch him pitch.
When Mark Pryor was with the Cubs, I thought this is a guy that's going to last forever because his motion was so free and easy. It was like the easiest 96 ever.
Supposed to be perfect.
Yep. Perfect mechanics and everything.
Yeah.
And Skeens, I think, is the same way. There's a lot of similarities.
You go back to the max velocity and how hard guys throw, and there's only so many bullets in that shoulder and that arm and that elbow. And I just wonder with max effort guys how long they can stay healthy, because it's proven right now.
Yeah.
A lot of the max effort guys, they just don't stay healthy.
Has he had Tommy John yet?
I don't believe he has.
I don't think so either. But you can mark that down at some point. He will.
Yeah.
Matthew, what do you got for us?
Take it or leave it. Mitch Marner is a product of his team/line mates, and whoever pays him should be wary of his results going forward.
I'm going to leave that. He's a pretty highly skilled player.
I'm going to leave that too. Yeah, I'm with you. Pretty good skill.
And it's hard to, as we saw even with the great Brett Hull here, when you lose Adam Oates and Ron Wilson is your center, it's a different game.
Yeah.
So I think every great player, to an extent, is a product of the person that they play with. I mean, Zach Hyman was never going to be what he is with McDavid if he was with somebody else.
That's a good point. And the guys that surround you elevate your game.
Yep.
Mentally, physically, all of it.
Take it or leave it. One of the big 4 in Toronto is out so that they can acquire some more grit. Yes. Marner.
I'm going to take that.
Nylander. Tavares isn't going anywhere, and Matthews isn't going anywhere. But what Nylander or Marner gets traded?
I'm going to take that.
I can see that for sure.
I think Chief's going to come in and rattle some cages.
Yeah. Those are easier contracts to move than the Blues contracts.
Yes, they are.
That they're trying to move.
I'd be a little worried about Marner. He's not the biggest guy in the world. I don't know. I'd be a little bit worried.
I'd take him on my team.
Yeah, I would too. But I'm saying I wouldn't be expecting like 116 points when he's got not McDavid on the line next to him. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals' defensive errors are being overlooked by their winning ways over the past 2 weeks.
We've talked about it. Dan's brought it up a couple of times. Is it 12 now?
What's that?
12 games in a row with an error that they had?
They had 12.
Yeah,
yes.
And then they went without one. And then I think they went without one yesterday, right?
Which would be 2 in a row.
Yeah. So we're on a roll. But yeah, I think no, they did make an error yesterday. So I don't think they're being overlooked. I think winning is a great deodorant for everything. But if they were causing you to lose games and the numbers are there, then it's a problem.
I would still say, though, over the course of a season, you got to clean it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
They've had 30 unearned runs this year. That's 6th most in baseball. And you're right. I think it's being overlooked because they're 12-3 in their last 15. But the margin for error, I think, with this team is pretty slim for the most part. Mm-hmm. So error's got to be cleaned up.
Especially for the playoffs. I mean, any little mistake is going to be magnified.
And the interesting thing here is that I don't think that this is a bad defensive team.
No.
I think fundamentally they're a lot better than they were a year ago. Now, that's not saying much because fundamentally they were not very good.
Yeah.
But running bases, I think they're better for the most part. And I do think that defensively, this is not a bad defensive team, especially when you look at the guys in the corners. Siani in center. Catching has been okay. Mason Wynn is outstanding at short.
And he leads the club with 8 errors.
And I'll take it because I bet errors can be a little bit misleading because if you have a lot of range, you're going to get to a lot of balls. And so when you get to a lot of the baseballs, sometimes you make errors, but a lot of it is dependent on range.
Right, and he also leads the club in defensive WAR.
Yep, so that makes sense.
And in range factor among position players, not catchers.
We haven't even talked about Tommy Edman as being an option for the outfield at some point. I mean, who knows where he's at this point?
Yeah, no idea whatsoever.
When we talked to him a couple of weeks ago, he had no idea.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, at the Big League Impact event.
Take it or leave it. Wynn has a brighter future than Walker.
I'm going to leave that.
I'm going to leave it
too. Can I say they both have bright futures and about equal?
No, you have to rank the future potential of these Cardinals prospects. And no 1A, 1B. I need 1, 2, 3 static, go.
I can't do it.
Well, then, damn.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew.
They're 22 years old.
Yes. We've got a quick, fresh take coming up, and then the Cardinal right-hander Kyle Gibson going to join us at 8:15 here on 101 ESPN. By the way, Jeremy Rutherford at 8:45, and then at 9:15, Kwofe Coleman, the president and CEO of The Muny. Meet us at The Muny. The Muny at
Forest Park.
And they've not only do they have the Muny stuff coming up, it's going to be a wonderful season, but they've also got a concert coming up in September that's going to be very cool. So we'll talk to him about that. But next up is Fresh Take on 101 ESPN. Hey, St. Louis, you can get your exclusive SC debit card from Together Credit Union, and your city's SC debit card is awesome to have because Together Credit Union is the only place to find this official fan debit card, and it comes with special perks like a free lifetime My City Plus membership, plus in-stadium discounts on food, beverages, and merchandise, and most exciting, when you go to the games, express entry into City SC matches. And as a special bonus, Together Credit Union will also send you a commemorative print of City Park Stadium, the home of St. Louis City SC, only while supplies last. How do you get the card? Easy. Open any personal checking account online at togethercu.org or stop by any of the Together Credit Union 14 local branches and choose the City SC debit card at account opening. There's no cost for the City SC debit card, so don't wait. Sign up today and show your pride for City SC by getting the City SC debit card from Together Credit Union. Membership eligibility required, federally insured by the NCUA.
real success.
Cardinals starter Andre Pallante 6 shutout innings yesterday. He allowed 3 hits. He walked 3 and struck out 4 through 86 pitches in his 6 innings of work, and obviously earned himself another start. But is this a guy, is the stuff there? And we've seen Andre Pallante perform well at the major league level before. That's why I asked this question. Is this a guy that you feel like could be the 5th starter? Can they count on him, not to give you 6 shutout innings every time, but can he be a 4.5 ERA guy?
He definitely earned another start. I just have to see. I mean, I like the whole situation, and I was very pleasantly surprised that he was able to do that, and he was doing everything that you were hoping to see from Andre Pallante. I honestly had never thought about him being a starter again after 2022. That was his first start since 2022, but that conversation he had with Oliver Marmol, I think, is huge, because Andre Pallante revealed that he felt like he's better as a starter. So with this situation, I would need to see a couple more starts, but he definitely earned another start.
I think you give him a run to see how this plays out. He has a variation of pitches too. So when you're in the bullpen, a lot of times it's just a fastball, slider kind of guy. He showed an arsenal of pitches, and I thought what was key, and it's going to be a key for him moving forward, is that he can get lefties out. He's got reverse splits for the most part in his career. But if he can run that 2-seamer in on right-handers and get a lot of ground balls and some swings and misses along the way, then you got something here. And to Brooks' point, he wanted to start, which a lot of guys want to do, but you have to have the arsenal. You got to have other things in the tank, on the resume, so to speak, to be a starter, to get through a lineup a couple of times. And I think he showed that yesterday.
He has never been stretched out as a major league starter. Yet, in 11 starts, he's thrown 60 and a third inning, so almost 6 innings per start. An earned run average as a starter of 3.58 at the major league level. And in those 60 innings, he struck out 44 and walked 19. So the numbers are there. I remember before his very first game when he made the team out of spring training, Mark McGwire was here for opening day, and Andre pitched right down the street in college from where Mark lives. So McGwire saw him a lot, and he said, he's got really good stuff.
He does.
So he said all he's got to do is put it together. And if he can put it together, he could be a guy, again, that gives you 6 innings a start. Am I asking for more? Not at this stage of baseball. But if I could get 6 innings a start out of Andre Pallante like he's pretty much done as a starter, I'll take it.
Cut down on the walks. Mm-hmm. He had 13 in 16 innings, I believe, in the minor leagues. Mm-hmm. I think he had 3 yesterday. So if he can cut that down and be more efficient in the zone, that's going to help him. But he was really efficient. He was so efficient that he only had 53 pitches through 5. So when you do that, you got a chance to win. And I also thought the first inning was a key for him. He got out of the inning, and it just looked like the pressure was off, and he took a deep breath. And now he goes into the next start, maybe with not as much pressure on him, because I'm sure he felt like, okay, here's my shot. They're giving me a chance. I got to show what I can do, and maybe I only have 2 starts to do this in. This is where I've got to be. I've got to be a guy that they can rely on, and if that's the case, then he stays in the rotation.
That's your fresh take. Coming up, we're going to find out what Kyle Gibson, Cardinals starter, thought of Pallante's performance. Kyle is next on 101 ESPN. What if I told you that you could sell your home, get the cash, and stay in the home for up to 12 months while you find or build your next home? You can. Gloria Lou is able to eliminate the traditional hassles of buying and selling at the same time. Gloria is amazing, and her name is her promise and says it all. Your home sold, guaranteed realty. Gloria has mastered the home selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, and that's guaranteed. Gloria has solutions for you. If you want to sell fast with no hassles, Gloria's multiple cash offer program is a great option to consider. No showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer to choose from in minutes from Gloria Lou. So if I told you you could sell your home and stay in it for 12 months and get the cash, what would you think? You'd say, no way, right? Well, Gloria can do it. Call Gloria Lou, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. The Cardinals are off today in Philadelphia before opening a series against the Phillies, who have, oh, by the way, the best record in the National League, and that three-game series starts tomorrow. But today is an off day, and Kyle Gibson joins us from Philadelphia, where he played actually for the World Series team, the National League champion Phillies, a couple of years ago, and joins us now on the Celebrity Line from Philly. Kyle, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you guys doing today?
Everything's good. Okay, so what do you miss about Philly? You've got an off day. You played there for 2 years. What do you miss that if you have a chance you'd like to go see? Cheesesteak?
Well, today on my off day, I am actually over in Indiana, in the hometown that I grew up in. I get a chance to Cincinnati is about an hour and 40 minutes from my hometown, so I get a chance to come back and see my parents for an extra day, go see my grandparents, and then I'll be over in Philadelphia early tomorrow morning. But if I could, in Philly, man, that's a tough call. There's a lot of, obviously, historical sites to go see. But being a big coffee person, I'd probably head over to either a couple different coffee shops over in Jersey where we lived. That's probably what I would do, is go grab a coffee and walk around over there.
Good deal. And say hi to Mom and Dad and the grandparents and tell them that your radio friends in St. Louis said hi.
Yeah, I can do that.
Well, in his first big league start since 2022, Andre Pallante looked really good yesterday, tossing 6 innings of shutout ball. What did you see from his outing?
I think at the beginning, obviously, I think he was, just trying to settle in. Even after that first inning, he came in and he's like, all right, now I can just settle down and go pitch. And I think it's, I didn't know Andre, obviously, as a starter, so I can't speak to what he did well, what he needed to work on. I can't speak to any of that. I do know that, his fastball plays really well in the strike zone, and when he gets ahead, then he can really expand with his other pitches that he has. So It just seemed like after that first inning, he had a couple of walks, but after that first inning, he was a lot better in the strike zone, forcing hitters to make quick decisions because he's got some extra velo there, and he's got some velo that plays well at the top and the bottom of the strike zone. And he did a really good job of mixing those in.
How much fun is it right now to go to the ballpark when you're 12-3 in your last 15?
Guys, it's a lot of fun, obviously. This is, I know we've talked about it the last couple of times we've talked, but, I think we're seeing a better version of the team that, we always thought we could be. We're playing with confidence. We're playing with leads. We're pitching the ball well. We're giving the back end of our bullpen a little bit of a break when they need it. And we've got a couple extra guys down there that are stepping up and throwing the ball really well when we need it too. So, it's a lot of fun when you're playing good baseball. And when you play good baseball and lose, well, that's going to happen. You still can look back and say, man, we played a really good game. But we've had a really good streak here, playing really good baseball, and that's what it's going to take to beat the Phillies. Like you guys said, they've got the best record in the National League, and they're playing really well. And if you want to beat teams that are playing really well and some of the better teams, you got to play clean games, and that's what we plan to do.
Brandon Hyde had the ultimate respect for you. He said of you last week during Baltimore's visit to Busch Stadium, quote, top 5 best teammate I've ever been around. What he was like in the dugout, in the clubhouse, as a leader to speak up and make sure people are acting appropriately, acting professional. All that stuff mattered to him. Guys are very fond of him, myself included, end quote. Kyle, where did you learn that? Who are the guys that influenced you to be the kind of person and player and teammate that you are?
Yeah, I saw that quote and really blew me away. What a high compliment, like you guys said, and I enjoyed my time over there, as I've been open about, and Hyder was one of those reasons I enjoyed my time. Who did I learn that from? I was really fortunate as a young guy to have guys like Mike Pelfrey, Kevin Correa, Phil Hughes on the starting staff while I was there. And that was my first couple of years. So, a couple of guys that have been doing it for a long time already. And then as those guys moved on, Kurt Suzuki was another guy behind the plate that, really took me under his wing, kind of showed me a lot of different things. And those 4 people were about as professional as they get. And, then you mix in a couple of teammates that, we kind of grew up together. You got Brian Dozier, who was a year or 2 ahead of me, and then we traded for Jake Odorizzi, and I could go on and on. But the Twins put a premium on the people that were on the team and, how you treated each other and how you guys were professionals. And, having those 4 guys that I mentioned were really big for me, learning how to be a professional and treating people the right way.
Kyle Gibson with us on 101 ESPN. And Kyle, you are 4-2, a 3.6 ERA. You're giving the team innings after throwing a lot of innings last year. You pitched really well when you got traded to Texas a few years ago. But have you thrown this well as you have with the Cardinals over the first 50 or so games of the year? The only year I probably had a little bit better streak was 2021. I've had some streaks, but I don't know that I can remember the last time that I felt this consistent and comfortable with just where my stuff is. Right? You're going to have good games, you're going to have bad games, and sometimes you're going to have good games when you don't have anything out there, and then every now and then you're going to get hit around when you have everything in your arsenal working and you get to the end of the game and you don't know what happened. But it's been fun because I feel like, for about all my starts, except for an inning here or an inning there, I've been able to, really execute pitches well and, stay on a good game plan. And when you can execute pitches, that's when you can actually execute a game plan, right? You can go after the locations that in your head are where the outs are. But if you can't execute pitches, then you can't go get the outs that you're trying to get. So I do think it's been, probably one of my better 10 or 11 start streaks here of consistently having, 4 to 5 pitches working and feeling like, not only that, I'm able to get my delivery in a spot where I can execute them pretty well.
Speaking of which, your start the other day was fantastic, carrying a no-hitter into the 6th inning. At what point are you thinking about the no-hitter?
I got asked that yesterday, and to me, it's normally about the third inning. Anybody who I don't know how these guys tell you they get to the seventh inning and they had no idea they had a no-hitter going. That's just, I mean, to me, that's crazy. I'm thinking about it. Once I get through the lineup, one time, I'm thinking about, all right, that's awesome. Now let's go do it again and see if we can get through it a third time. But, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it pretty quick. And, it's unfortunately one of the only four-seam fastballs I didn't execute the other day was the pitch to Benson, and that's what happens.
Are you superstitious? So my question would be, like, if a guy comes up and starts talking to you during a no-hitter, would you say, like, get the hell away from me, man? I got a no-hitter going.
No, not at all. I talk way too much for that. So I can't just clam up in the middle of the game because I haven't given up a hit. So no, I'm talking to people and talking to Dusty and figuring out game plan for the next inning and going over things.
Do you know Mark Burley? He's a local guy. Have you run across Mark? Because Mark apparently during one of his no-hitters came into the dugout and said, like the sixth inning, said, guys, I got a no-hitter going. You see this? You see the
scoreboard? Yeah, I mean, that'd be quite the thing to come in and say, I guess.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't superstitious. Hey,
no,
pretty good. Hey, Kyle, you mentioned that you're in Indiana, Greenfield, Indiana, and that's where you grew up. As a youngster, a relative youngster, were you aware of Scott Rowland, who was like 2.5 hours away from you? Grew up in Jasper?
So I was a big Reds fan growing up. So yeah, definitely knew of Scott Rowland. Actually, my high school, we went on a spring trip my last 2 years. We can only travel so far away from my high school to play, but we went on a spring trip and we actually played in Jasper at that high school. So yeah, I know of Scott, and I actually let him know opening day there. I had a chance to talk to him just briefly and let him know that we had played at that high school and knew of him and introduced myself. So other than Lance, Scott probably has the most recognition of a baseball player from Indiana.
Sure, right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then from Greenfield, Indiana, how did you wind up at Mizzou? Did you have other offers?
So I had a few. It was mostly a couple Big Ten schools. And then basically what I did was I took our map, of this Midwest here, and I wanted to be about within 5 hours of home. So kind of figure out which schools those were. Sent out a bunch of recruiting videos, went to a bunch of camps, didn't get invited to any of like the big showcases or anything. So kind of had to have, go do a few things on my own with my parents. And then Mizzou saw me really late, probably the summer after my junior year, maybe the last school to be involved and to, come say hello and introduce themselves. And then when I got on campus, I just fell in love with it. And I always had this goal, growing up from a really young age. I wanted to play at the highest level possible at each level I went up. And, when I got the choice to play in Big 12 or Big 10 baseball, and at the time Big 12 was a better competition, and Missouri was at a better spot as a program. So I think that was part of it. I wanted to stay true to my goal there and, challenge myself and push myself and play at the highest level I could.
Kyle, you have pitched at Citizens Bank Park. It can be a bandbox, and we always talk about it, cliche but true, that you pitch to your strengths, to the hitter's weaknesses. I am curious, though, is there a key to pitching at that ballpark?
I think when the bank is packed, as the crowd gets loud, you just got to kind of slow it down a little bit and try to not let them get too rowdy, because when they get rowdy and they get going, that place is a lot of fun to pitch in. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun to pitch in, but it can speed things up on you a little bit. So, I think it's just like Great American, right? In Cincinnati, you can't go in there thinking about how it's a small yard and you can't give up fly balls and stuff like that. You're going to give up, balls that just barely make it over the fence in parks where it carries a little bit better. And then when you're facing a lineup with hitters that are really good and are hot, you've got to be able to get ahead of them, and you got to be aggressive early in the zone because really good hitters feast on being ahead in the count themselves. So whether it's the Yankees, the Phillies, whichever team you're facing, when they're swinging well, you can get strike one and get ahead of them, that's the key.
Kyle, we had a chance to be around your teammates at the Swinging for Impact event a couple of weeks ago, and you have such a great group in the All-Win campaign. It's amazing to me how involved in the community the Cardinal players are, and we talked about it that night. You and your teammates really utilize the platform well and are doing it with the All-Win campaign.
Yeah, the All-Win campaign is something that, I think Adam started as a strikeout campaign long ago. It's something that quite a few teams have decided to jump on board and do. And, I think the Cardinals, we've got 5 or 6 players doing it. And really, I think it gives fans a chance to kind of look and see what we're passionate about. It gives fans a chance to see, which charities we support, and then maybe what causes are near and dear to our family's hearts. So, as people are, probably pretty aware of bigleagueimpact.org, the website, they can go to the website and, you can look up the specific players and then kind of read their profile, or you can look up, all the charities that are being supported by the All-Win campaign, and then, kind of figure out what they do. And you can donate to a specific players campaign, or if you see a player from another team that is supporting something that you're passionate about, you can go ahead and support their campaign. So our goal is to connect fans with players and causes that each other's passionate about, and give everybody a chance to be a part of something bigger.
Finally, Kyle, this is pretty cool that you get the opportunity to go back home and see the family. It's a rare opportunity during the season, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. For the past few years, I've laughed about this with teammates, and as I've seen people from Baltimore and other places, I spent a lot of off days traveling back to Missouri, the last couple of years, just trying to see the kids and making sure I got a little bit of family time. But, I had this off day circled on the calendar for the last few weeks, the last couple of months, even knowing that, we were going to finish up in Cincinnati pretty close to home and get the chance to see my parents an extra day and grandparents. And, it worked out where my son Mills could come along and be a part of the trip as well. So, I don't take these times for granted because, rarely do you get the chance to do some of the things that I get to do. So, it's a special time to be able to be back here and see some family that I don't get to see all the time.
Awesome. Well, you have a great time. Thanks for taking some time out of your schedule there to spend with us. Have a great time in Philadelphia, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Kyle. Kyle Gibson, Cardinal right-hander from Big League Impact, with us on 101 ESPN, and you can learn more at bigleagueimpact.org.
Guys, he's been so good. He's given up 2 earned runs or less in 8 of his 11 starts. And that matches Corbin Burns and Tyler Glasnow. And I was looking at this, Aaron Nola, Hunter Green. I mean, we're talking about some of the best pitchers in the game. That's how well he has pitched. He has surpassed what I thought he would be. I thought he'd be a guy that give you a ton of innings, give you a chance to win here and there, probably more times than not. But, man, he has put himself into a different level, different category in the first 2 months of this season.
He really has. And I love that quote that you shared, because that's the things that you keep hearing over and over again. Not only what he's able to do as a pitcher, but the other value that he brings to your clubhouse.
Leadership, learning from others and carrying that on. And that's so important with a young team and a young staff. If you have young guys on your staff, and there's some young relievers that'll come in and ask him questions, and you know that each other, I mean, even if you're not a young player, that you don't think he's picking the brain of Lance Lynn and vice versa, and Kyle Gibson going to some of these other guys and trying to help them out. That's what makes a great leader, and he's certainly doing that.
He had a stretch as he mentioned, in 21 with Texas before he got traded to Philly. 15 consecutive starts where he allowed 3 or fewer runs, and by the way, only allowed 3 runs one time. And each of those starts were more than 5 1/3, and only 2 of them were 5 1/3. All the rest were 6 or more. So out of 15 starts, 13 of them were 6 or more, and he allowed 3 runs once and less than 3 the other 14 times.
So 8 starts, opponents no more than 2 earned runs. That's a higher total than Yamamoto, Peralta, Marcus Stroman, George Kirby, among others. I mean, he's really done a hell of a job, man.
He's been great for the Cardinals, and we're thankful to have him. Coming up next, Peter is going to try to defend his Fight Hall of Fame championship, and he's going to do it with Randy rules today, right?
That's right.
We'll see how that works.
Style.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. That'll be next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Danny Mac on this Thursday for Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance, or if you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to in any of these things. Hey, let me make it easy for you. Call Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage, and he's going to help you every step of the way. So if it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he'll get you to the closing table fast. And you're asking, well, how fast? Try 10 days, and he'll get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the bagel loan that can help you out too. So what is the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, and no closing costs. Stewart is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, or the trends, give him a call. Here's his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440. Again, that's 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715. This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals with a win over the Reds last night, 5-3 to win that series. They will start a series against the Phillies starting tomorrow night. Last night in the NHL playoffs, the Stars jumped out to a 2-0 lead after just 5.5 minutes against the Oilers, but then the Oilers would rip off 5 unanswered to win that game at 5-2 and tie up their series at 2 games apiece. Panthers-Rangers game 5 also knotted up at 2 games apiece on 101 ESPN tonight, 6:30 pregame. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American State heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, and Matthew Rocchio here, and it is time for the fight, and we are bringing back Hall of Famer Peter. Peter, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you guys?
We're doing great. You're a Hall of Famer now, and you have to do this Randy style, so there are no options for you today.
Except for one.
You get one?
He gets one, just like Randy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you can ask for the lifeline.
Yeah, he gets one lifeline. He gets the options for one question.
Oh, okay. So there you go. Those are the rules.
I can cycle through like all divisions and everything.
Sure.
Do it, yeah.
Whatever takes you to that next level.
You ready for question number 1, Peter?
Let's do it.
Okay, Shaquille O'Neal had many nicknames, one being Diesel. With which 70s, 80s NFL player does he share that nickname with? Is it Bob Lilly, Earl Campbell?
No options.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We rarely do this. I'm so sorry, Peter and Rockio. You worked hard on these questions. Well, I gave you get another chance at the options too then, because I screwed that up.
I didn't really follow the options though, so gosh, I have no idea. Let's say Jerry Rice.
Okay, on this day in 2013, Michael Wacha made his Cardinals debut. A few months later, he would go on to capture the NLCS MVP against which team?
That would have been the Dodgers.
All right, Peter, off and running. Question 3 we go.
All right, I'm not going to mess this one up. Latrell Sprewell is more infamous for what happened at the Warriors practice than anything he did for the Knicks. Which Warriors head coach was Sprewell suspended for attacking and choking?
I'm going to need the options here.
Don Nelson, George Carroll, or P.J. Carlesimo?
P.J. Carlesimo.
All right, and on to question number 4. There are only 2 players in NFL history to catch a pass while older than 40 years old. The list is Jerry Rice and which non-receiver?
Let's see. Have to be someone non-receiver, you said?
That's right. There are only 2 players in NFL history to catch a pass while older than 40 years old. And the list is Jerry Rice and which non-receiver?
Well, it's got to be older than 40 as a quarterback. So it's an old quarterback, and it's not Brady. I don't know, Brett Favre or something.
I don't know. Is that your answer?
Brett Favre, final answer.
Okay, let me go grab Randy.
How are you feeling?
That's hard.
It is a lot harder, isn't it? And once again, I apologize. It's so rare that we have somebody make it to the Hall of Fame where we even have to go through these different situations. So this is huge that you've made it this far, Peter.
Well, I was hoping for like a team, and I could do the work across the country and history of NFL divisions or something, but I did not have that opportunity.
It would be fun to do. Oh, here comes Randy. Say hi to Hall of Famer Pete.
Peter, good morning. Congratulations. How you doing?
Doing very well, Randy. How are you?
Good. Have you changed the signing of your autograph yet to HOF?
I have not yet. I need to add that asterisk.
You do absolutely need to do that. Good deal.
What do you think you'd sign, though, Randy? Would you're not going to probably get a baseball, not a football, not a helmet.
Maybe a baseball. HOF 24, yeah.
There was some baseball question mixed in, so why not do that? Yeah, that makes sense.
That'd be a good play.
Okay.
You ready for question number 1?
Ready.
Okay. Shaquille O'Neal had many nicknames. We love nicknames on the show. One being Diesel. With which 70s, 80s NFL player does he share that nickname with?
The Diesel. I would say that would have been John Riggins, the Washington Redskins running back.
Can hear Chris Berman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right.
The Diesel. John Riggins, yeah.
On this day in 2013, Michael Wacha made his Cardinals debut. A few months later, he would go on to capture the NLCS MVP against which team?
National League Championship Series MVP. I think he did it against the NLCS MVP. I think it was, what year again?
2013.
That's right, 2013. I think it was against the Doyers. I'm going to go Los Angeles Doyers.
All right.
Ready for 3?
Ready.
Question 3. Latrell Sprewell is more infamous for what happened at the Warriors practice than anything he did for the Knicks. Which Warriors head coach was Sprewell suspended for attacking and choking?
He was just giving him a hug.
Very, very firm hug.
Very aggressive hug.
P.J. Carlesimo. Spree. Wasn't Spree Baby Needs Shoes or something?
Yes. That was him.
Okay, yeah.
After he signed like a $100 million contract or $80 million or something like that.
She's a really good caller. That's great. I had not thought about that in a long time.
Yeah. Ready for question 4?
Ready, sir.
there are only 2 players in NFL history to catch a pass while older than 40 years old. The list is Jerry Rice and which non-receiver?
A non-receiver that caught a pass beyond the age of 40. I kind of think I know who it is, but I'm going to do the lifeline anyway.
Sure. Jason Peters, Tom Brady, Charles Woodson.
I was going to go with Tom Brady.
You're one impressive man, Randall. I can say that. Matthew, do your thing, please.
Peter had to go with no options today. Does he walk away with a 4th straight win, or does Randy win the Randy-style battle? Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
I haven't done it in such a long time. Thanks to our friends at Golf Discount of St. Louis with the best club fitting in town. They're great.
Peter, I'm sorry. That was perfect. Okay. That's really good. The fact that you pulled that in. It's like we call that a callback in comedy, ladies and gentlemen. That was pretty
How happy
good.
you are.
Peter, I'm sorry you got 2 right, but Randy Carricker hit the jack. He beat you 4-2 today. I'm so sorry. Nothing you can do about that.
All good. Thanks so much. It's been fun.
He's too good. Peter, thank you so much for joining us the last few days. Let's go through the questions and the answers. Shaquille O'Neal had many nicknames. One of them was Diesel, or Shaq Diesel. With which 70s, 80s NFL player did he share that nickname? It was, in fact, John Riggins. On this day in 2013, Michael Wacha made his Cardinals debut, and a few months later, he would go on to win the NLCS MVP with a win over the Dodgers. Latrell Sprewell, more famous for what happened at a Warriors practice than anything he did for the Knicks or the Timberwolves, for that matter. It was, in fact, when he choked Coach P.J. Carissimo, which is, aggressively hugged. And there are only 2 players in NFL history to catch a pass while older than 40 years old. Jerry Rice caught over 150 for over 2,000 yards. Tom Brady caught 1 for 6. And that's the list of guys who caught a pass over 40 years old. This year, if Mercedes Lewis plays, he will join the list as number 3, the tight end, if he actually does play in the NFL this year, which is probably not going to happen. But hey, it could, and that list could change.
He's a friend of A-Rod.
He's a friend of A-Rod, so maybe he gets one with the Jets this year. So a 4-2 win for Randy Carricker in the fight again. Again, Peter, thank you so much for joining the fight the last few days. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame. We'll see you on the website soon. And thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
You too, Peter. And we'll see you soon with coming in for a photograph and do the old signed ball thing.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
All of us. Do you think Charles Woodson should have won over Peyton Manning in college for the Heisman?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. 2-way player, though. Unique.
Right. But Manning was he was awesome. He was great.
He was at Tennessee.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Brooke? Should the Tennessee guy have won?
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
why I brought it up.
Yeah. Why would you put me on the spot like that, Randy?
By the way, I was giddy over the song more than I was winning.
I don't know. Your shirt today is kind of reddish, and your face was just so tickled from all the laughing that you were also turning the same color as your shirt.
Can I play this one more time?
Oh, no. Rocchio's heartbreak.
He turned me down. Can't even do
Gotta
it.
talk to Jeremy.
Jeremy is in studio. Jeremy Rutherford, Blues Insider, next on 101 ESPN.
Hoops and Nuggets. It's time for the Rutherford Report with our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Our Blues insider from The Athletic, Jeremy Rutherford, kind enough to join us in studio this morning. Brought a guest with him, actually. Didn't bring his guest into the studio tonight.
I didn't know I brought a guest.
Yeah, you tried to pretend throw it at me as soon as you walked in here.
I'm walking down the hall, and as you guys always say, Randy's out in the hallway eating the grapes, and so we're talking, and Josh, coworker, comes down the hallway, and he looks at me, and he goes, you have a cicada on your collar?
And he really did.
Did you really have one?
Yeah. So I took it off my collar, and I don't just want to let it, fly around the building here. So I put it on Mike Ryder's desk. So Mike, if you're listening, you're on your way in. You have a cicada on your desk.
Mm-hmm. I had to catch a bird in my garage yesterday.
Oh, man.
He came in. We had the garage doors open. I got 2 dogs. They're going crazy. They're chasing the bird, and I actually was able to pick up the bird and walk out and let it go like a bird should fly.
Good for you.
Wow.
That's so nice.
And then you went and washed your hands, right?
No, I still haven't. Dove into a big dinner. Of course I washed my hands.
One time when I was laying in bed, my dog brought me a bird.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm. It was the late, great Cupid. She just jumped up on the bed, and it was like I had a toy.
Present.
Yeah.
Cupid had a hell of a career.
Yeah, she did. She was a good athlete.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you, JR?
So what else is new? What else is going
JR
on?
got tell us about your son's visit this weekend.
Yeah, so we went to Kansas City for a softball tournament, and there were all kinds of teams there, basketball, volleyball, softball, of course, and it was elite basketball. So we look at the hotel bar, and who's sitting there but Carmelo Anthony. And he had his son down there. Their whole team was there. And I think LeBron was in town. Randy said that he's got a younger son, younger than Bronny, who might have been playing in that league. And so anyway, my son is just all about saying hi to those people, meeting those people, maybe getting a picture. But you could tell that Melo had a bodyguard. This guy stood 3 feet behind Melo. And anytime Melo turned left or right, this guy would turn left or right. It was unbelievable to watch this guy work. And so my son had a strategy. He's going to catch him at the elevator as Melo's walking to the elevator. So he cuts him off and he says, Melo, if it were me, I'd say, come on, son, you get it, Mr. Anthony. But he yells out Melo. And the bodyguard jumps out and he says, no pictures, to an 11-year-old, which is fine. I get it. They get tons of those types of requests. But Carmelo, who I hear is a super nice guy, and Randy backed that up. He said he thinks he is too. Instead of just continuing to walk and let his bodyguard take care of it, he actually turns, sticks out his hand, shakes hands with my son, not for 1 second, just a quick shake. He holds onto his hand for about 10 seconds. He says, do you play baseball? And he goes, yeah. What position? And they talk for 15, 20 seconds.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway, to me, I said to my son later as we walked away, that's better than a picture, buddy. Get a quick interaction with the guy. So kudos to Melo there.
Yep.
If I'm your son, I think you got to get an autograph and put it on eBay. Why not? Forget the conversation. Teach him how to make some money. I'm just saying, JR.
By the way, Bryce James, the younger son of LeBron, is 6'6", and he turned 17 on June 14th.
Okay.
Wow. He's got his own Wikipedia page.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So how you guys doing? I was listening to the show on the way in here. I got to tell you that Adam Wainwright is my favorite Cardinal of all time. I got to be about the 3rd or 4th row and with Eli that night and watch win number 200. That was unbelievable. But listening to Kyle Gibson, he's amazing. Like,
he really is.
The thoughtfulness he puts into all those answers that he gives you guys every week.
Is there somebody thoughtful in hockey like that you've been around? I'm sure there's got to be.
They might be listening, so I'm going to say everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's super thoughtful. No, the one guy that sticks out in my mind is David Perron, and you guys had him on the show too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it just seems like you go in the locker room, Dan, and you're talking to a guy, and sometimes they turn robotic. Hey, what's going on with the power play? Well, we need to score more, yada, yada, yada. But you talk to David Perron, and you say, what's wrong with the power play? Well, what's happening here? The bumper is out of position. If the bumper would just move over, the guy would get the pass to him quicker, and we could get that shot off quicker. And you're like, oh, my gosh, he's actually thinking about this, putting time into the answer. So, to me, David Perron is the guy who always put thought into it.
Interesting. What's a bumper?
That's a guy.
I know what a bumper is. I'm just kidding.
You covered the team.
Well, I guess one of the biggest stories right now in the NHL, and it sounds like you're working on a story on this, Mitch Marner. What's going to happen with him?
He's coming to the Blues. That'll be announced. No.
oh, just you wait, because then the
No
Canadian
audiograms
media is going to
here,
be
no
all
audiograms.
over that one. Jeremy Rutherford said that.
That's
Mitch
why I had to
Marner.
stop in mid-sentence there.
Breaking
Actually,
news.
working on a story, and at The Athletic, we like to have fun with these topics. And so a couple years ago, we did, would Vladimir Tarasenko be a good trade fit for the New York Rangers? And I collabed with the New York writer Arthur Staple. And a couple days later, that trade actually happened. So I'm like 1 for 100 on those things. But maybe we'll go 2 for 101 here with Mitch Marner. So we're going to put this piece together today. It should be up at The Athletic in the next couple days. But it's just like breaking down the trade fit, what it's going to cost, how would Mitch Marner fit in. Not saying it's going to happen, but how would Mitch Marner fit into the Blues, and what do the Blues have to offer the Maple Leafs, and what would the Maple Leafs be willing to accept?
Do front offices get on you for this stuff sometimes, because you're throwing out rumors, innuendo, which makes it fun for all of us and your fan base? And maybe one perspective is an organization says, well, we're still front and center, even though we're out of the playoffs and looking ahead to next year. So that's good, little publicity. But do they also, on the flip side, say, why are you doing this?
Well, I'll say this, that I think they get a chuckle out of it. Doug Armstrong doesn't really come out and say, hey, I read this or I saw this. But I will say that when the Blues were up against it with Tarasenko, and he had made the trade request, and obviously Doug was working the phones to see what was going on. I worked with Corey Pronman at The Athletic, and we put together a piece that said, what could the Blues get? And I think that one of the packages was with the New York Islanders, and it was the young defenseman Noah Dobson, who's a stud. And, so we insinuated that the Blues could get this young stud defenseman from the Islanders. And I think I had a conversation with Doug about something else on the phone, and although at the end of it, he says, Noah Dobson, like, are you kidding me? Like, not going to be able to get him. So anything that we're thinking about and we're putting out in the public in those articles, obviously they've already tried or thought about.
Tell me this, and this is just out there, I'm not throwing this out there as a possibility, well, I just want to know if it could even happen. You have to believe Chief would want Binnington, right?
Yeah, I think that would be, they have a goalie situation in Toronto. That's been their bugaboo for the past few years. So I think that that they would like Binnington. I firmly believe that teams like Toronto, Edmonton have been asking for a couple of years. I think the situation in Edmonton, they've needed a goalie to get to that next level. I think they've inquired about Binnington, and I think the price, understandably, has been really high. So you look at Toronto, definitely, that's a situation there. And Randy, you and I were talking in the hallway as I was watching you pound those grapes there, that
destroyed him.
Who's another player that if you're talking about Mitch Marner coming to the Blues in a potential hypothetical deal, who's a guy who we're talking about trading here in St. Louis? You might not want to sign him to that 8-year contract because he's going to be 30 when the contract kicks in. Who, oh, by the way, Craig Berube would love to have him on that Toronto roster. That's Pavel Buchnevich.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting move.
I got an odd question. Do you think that Canadian players want to go back and play in Toronto with the media scrutiny that they're under? You know what I mean? It'd be like a New York kid going back to play for the Yankees. I mean, in some ways, it'd be awesome. And it probably would be awesome. But do you think there's so much pressure that they say, you know what, I'm happy where I'm at, or go to a different city?
I'm sure there's some, but everyone that I've encountered says no thanks. And I
that's
think,
what I mean, yeah.
No thanks. I've talked to Alex Pietrangelo about that before, and he said, yeah, no thanks. And,
Yeah.
But the one specific example that I do remember, we're going to talk about a lesser player here, not a star, but Jay McClement, you guys remember him with the Blues. He went to Toronto in a trade, and so the Blues play in Toronto. I walk into the Leafs locker room. I walk up to Jay's stall, just to say hello, ask a question or two. And as you guys know, I mean, in St. Louis, you got 5 or 10 media in the locker room. Here, there's 50 media members, and one guy kind of beats me to McClement, and so I stand back a couple feet, and this guy's asking McClement a question, and it was the goofiest, off-the-wall question that you would ever hear from a reporter. And the guy walked away after asking it, and Jay looked at me and he goes, every day. Every day. So I think they like playing for the team, but there's a lot that comes with it.
Sure.
Do you think Craig Berube can change the culture of that in Toronto?
I think so. I think that what we wrote about last week or so, what he can bring into that organization, just the confidence that he instills in these players. Hey, you're good players. Let's show it. But also, I think he's going to be rejuvenated a little bit in terms of what he needs to do to change the culture. I think he did it in St. Louis. Then it kind of runs itself for a little bit. We heard Doug Armstrong say that too. Once you get things going in the right direction, things kind of run themselves. But then you get to a point where either the roster changes or the team loses and things become stale, and it's hard to get it back. So I think for Craig Berube to go into a situation, he said it himself, who wouldn't want to coach the Toronto Maple Leafs? They have a great roster. They're playoff ready, and now they just need somebody like him to come in here and say, this is what needs to get done. I think it's going to be a perfect situation.
JR, always good to have you with us in studio. You're doing the Last Minute Blues podcast
Yeah,
here?
a little last minute, and we're up on the YouTube like you guys, so people can see these ugly mugs.
Good. Looking forward. No, they're beautiful mugs.
What are you guys going to talk about? When things are kind of, stale right now with the Blues, nothing really going on. What do you guys do for an hour?
We're hoping that when you get off here, you'll come down and explain the bumper position.
Good.
That's what we got.
Thanks for having me. Sorry I didn't deliver like Kyle Gibson delivered. But
We did the segment yesterday, by the way. As it turns out, looking back, should there have been a limit for Doug Armstrong to acquire Matthew Tkachuk, or should he have just given whatever Calgary wanted?
Gosh, it's so hard to say whatever. I mean, like, are you packing up the Brett Hull statue and putting it in a truck and taking it to Calgary? But I would say everything. Yeah, I really would. He's a difference maker, and he's not just a difference maker in terms of what he can do on the ice and perform. It's just, when I talked to Paul Maurice, I had a 25-minute conversation with him about a year ago talking about Matthew Tkachuk, and he said that this is a guy who, he can go in the office and have an X's and O's conversation that Paul Maurice said is on the level with the coaches in terms of what he knows about the game, and then he can go in that locker room and crack a joke that will have 20 guys on the floor laughing. He just has that, special balance between knowing what it takes. I think he gets it from Walt. Danny, you and I are both around Walt for years in terms of him, and he just knew
quick wit, funny,
everything, just how to take care of everybody. So to answer your question, he would have been franchise altering to bring Matthew Tkachuk in here.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah,
because we talked about Brady yesterday too. You feel that there's any chance he gets moved?
I don't think so. I mean, Pierre LeBrun came out after talking to Steve Staios, and Staios, the GM there in Ottawa, said complete BS. We talked about it last week, you guys, and, I felt like it's been a possibility just because, like I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. There had been the report from Spit and Chicklets. But, Ottawa wants to continue to build, and as Staios said in the article, that he's the centerpiece of this. Now, they come out and say that. It doesn't necessarily mean they wouldn't entertain the idea if something came up. As I told you guys last week, I don't have any concrete information that things are being talked about, discussed. Perhaps they are. I don't know. But as Staios said, that's all we can take right now is that BS, it's not happening. So we'll see. Those things change sometimes they don't.
They change all the time. It's always great having you in, JR.
Yeah,
and I
great.
think that we already have the tweet going out right now, breaking news that Marner is coming to St. Louis to play for the Blues.
Rock's got the gram going.
And by the way, Brooke sent out this tweet on our text chain last night. Tkachuk said he was able to get his mouth guard back after Chris Kreider tried to toss it last night. It didn't clear the glass. Quote, I told him it was the best play he made all game, Tkachuk said.
He's a menace.
See, there's that quick wit, right? Yeah,
he's funny.
That would take me a week to think of that. Like, I'd be sitting in the bathroom a week later and say, "Oh, I should have told him that was the best play he's made."
Brendan Shanahan said that he had all these great lines, but he didn't think of them until he was on the bench for 20 seconds.
Yeah, that actually happened to me. Kelly Chase had a couple rip jobs on me, and it took me about 15 seconds to think of a comeback. And when I did, Chaser goes, "Hey, Rutherford, welcome to the conversation."
Late. Thanks, JR.
Yep.
Jeremy Rutherford with us on 101 ESPN. The Rush Hour Reset coming your way next on the Opening Drive.
Bye, JR.
Hey, I want you to know about an amazing initiative between Cardinals Care, the Boniface Foundation, the Gateway Region YMCA, and Paul Goldschmidt of the Cardinals. It's Paul Goldschmidt Field. You know, there's little opportunity for youth with disabilities in our region to play baseball and other sports because of a lack of adaptive facilities. Well, that is changing because the four that I mentioned, the Gateway Region YMCA, Cardinals Care, and Boniface Foundation, along with Paul Goldschmidt, are constructing a state-of-the-art adaptive sports complex that is going to include a Miracle League baseball field, inclusive playground, and multipurpose field so kids and adults with disabilities can play sports. And working with the Cardinals, the Y is excited to share that the field will be named the Paul Goldschmidt Field. As part of their work as a nonprofit, the Y provides comprehensive adaptive support services to more than 1,000 individuals annually. This new facility is going to be a game changer, and it enables the Y to provide programming specifically for sports of individuals with disabilities. But the Y needs your help. It's not too late to become a founding donor and leave a lasting legacy. The Y has launched its community fundraising phase. Well, every gift counts. There's some really cool recognition opportunities starting at $500 for you or your business. Consider making sports available so that all children with disabilities can play ball and experience the joys of being on a team. Visit gwrymca.org. That's Gateway Region YMCA.org. Muny, we had the opportunity to meet Denny Reagan as we walked into the Muny shows, and a few years ago, Denny retired and Kwofe Coleman took over, and Kwofe now is the president and CEO of the Muny, and he's been enlisted this weekend by Worldwide Technology Raceway to head the Confluence Music Festival for the Enjoy Illinois 300. And Kwofe, with Brooke Grimsley and Danny Mack, Dan McLaughlin, this is Randy Carricker. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Good morning. As you described, a little busy, but all in the best way, all in the best ways.
So, and you've been working with several musical acts, and we're going to get to another one that you're going to have in September later on. But tell us about the Confluence Music Festival at the Enjoy Illinois 300.
Well, I got to tell you, this is a neat project. This is the third year that we're doing it. The founder of Worldwide Technology, Dave Stewart, and the owner of the track, Curtis, came to us a couple of years ago with this concept to put a festival inside of a race. I'll admit that was the first NASCAR race I'd been to, but it's this opportunity to bring top national talent to the region and then also a bunch of local acts so that people that are there at that race can have a different experience. I think it's a way to grow the racing audience by people that are interested in this wildly diverse group of artists. I say diverse across all genres. So it's a concept that was the brainchild of Mr. Stewart and Mr. Francois. We've just been excited to execute it for the past couple of years.
Yeah, just looking at the lineup, a little bit of everything. Ludacris, T-Pain, Riley Green, who's a big emerging country music star right now, and another emerging country music star, and Adam Wainwright.
Yeah. If my second career could be as exciting as Adam Wainwright's, whatever that is, whenever it is, I'll be a lucky man. But yeah, to your point, the goal is to bring artists from all kinds of genres, all kinds of backgrounds, so that no matter what kind of music you like, there's a moment for you at this event. I think it's an exciting weekend. You see a real cross section of the community there during the race weekend.
How do you get the acts? Do you reach out to them? They reach out to you? How does this work?
Yes, all of the above. In the first year, we were really reaching out. So there's a team that I work with, and we were doing a lot of the reach out. The success of it, and I say success just from the exposure brought to the region and how the NASCAR community responded, made it so in the past 2 years, it's been a balance. Acts have been reaching out to us, you have relationships with their managers, their agents, and so it's a mix. And then we're hunting some really great local acts to make sure that we're representing the region well at the same time.
And Kwofe, as you mentioned, it's a festival within the race. So if people go to www.raceway.com, they can buy tickets for the race this weekend along with the Confluence Music Festival.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of it is if you have a race ticket, you've got a music festival ticket. It's the best add-on for an event. And I'm not just saying it because we do it. I just think it's a great add-on for an event. So if you're going to the race, you're going to the festival.
And you've got your main gig as well. The Muny opens up on June 17th. Another great schedule, 7 shows. Is there, and I know you don't like to play favorites, but is there a show of the 7 that you're really looking forward to this year?
Wow, that's a great question. Probably 2. The Little Mermaid I'm looking forward to, not necessarily because the story speaks to me, but when we have a show like that where it's a family show, you see young audience members come out, and all of this is still so real to them. It's like when something magical happens on stage, the awe that you see for them is real, and you see them coming in with their parents and their grandparents, and you know that those moments are something that you try to make some of those core memories and opportunities for them. So I'm excited about that one. I'm probably excited about In the Heights too. I always like when we could do something new that I think will draw a new audience. But there's something great I think about every show in the season this year. So I'm not supposed to have favorites, but I'll say this is one of my favorite lineups we've had in a long time.
And then, Kwofe, you guys announced last week that for the first time in a long time, you're going to have a concert in September.
We are. First time in 34 years, we're bringing back concerts. So we figured if we're going to do it, don't do it medium, do it big. So we have John Legend. People may have heard of him, I hope. But John Legend with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra together. And so that will be, that's on September 7th. And just bringing that tradition, that's the piece of the tradition that I think some people have missed. And I can just tell you from the response that they missed it more than I thought they did. So that's September 7th. And then we all take a nap after that.
There you go. And tickets available for that at muny.org. But this weekend, the Confluence Music Festival at the Enjoy Illinois 300. You can go to www.raceway.com. Kwofe, good to hear your voice. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. That's Kwofe Coleman from the Muny and, of course, from the Enjoy Illinois 300. We get a chance to see all of the great NASCAR racers this weekend on June 1st.
Oh, I'm really excited because especially for Ludacris and T-Pain, not trying to take away from the country guys because I also like country music, but I feel like for us millennials, that's huge.
Yeah, I'm buying a race ticket and I might go to the race. That's my plan for this weekend. I might go to the race because you tell me I get to go see Ludacris and T-Pain, and then maybe even mosey around and see Adam Wainwright as well. And then if I want to, I'll go to a race. Sounds like a pretty good plan to me.
And then you forget about Riley Green.
Listen, I don't know country. I'm not going to pretend like I do.
How's he going to get away from the Tigers this weekend?
It's a good point, Randy. It's an important part of the season. You can't do that. You're involved with this, correct?
I am actually going to be working with Folds of Honor this weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll have a booth out at the race on both Saturday and Sunday, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm ready to rock and roll on Saturday and Sunday. And hopefully people will be able to buy their tickets. And if you go through Folds of Honor, 20% of your ticket price will go to Folds of Honor. So we like that. There's a QR code to do that. And you'll also be able to contribute if you come on out.
Rock and Roll is not till 9:45, though.
That is exactly right, yeah.
But you're going to rock and roll. Yeah. Uh-oh, there's
What's
somebody
happening?
on.
No, stop doing that.
T-Pain?
No. Oh, sorry.
I mean, pop, anything like that.
So, okay, let's get him on.
Let's try. Let's effort.
Yeah, let's effort that, Rocky.
Good luck, Mark.
Yeah,
we do have a quick rush hour reset.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, can you get that? And Ludacris in studio, actually.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Let's just email it
I'm
to
just
you
an
right
idea guy, okay?
We do
look
have
at
our
me
rush
like
hour
that.
reset coming your way on 101 ESPN. You know what's cool about Chesterfield Fence and Deck is that a lot of times when we are getting an outdoor project done, maybe a sunroom or a screen room or a deck, we don't really know the process. Well, at Chesterfield Fence and Deck, you're going to get expert advice from a knowledgeable group of project consultants on selecting the right product for your home. And then an installation team of professionally trained craftsmen who take great pride in their work. And that's one of the reasons that Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been around since 1968. This is their 56th year in business because they provide you great advice and then they execute a fantastic product when they put your project together. You can find them on the web and see what they do at chesterfieldfence.com, or you can call 800-300-4054. And at Chesterfield Fence and Deck, they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Great warranties on everything they put up. And whether it is a fence, a deck, sunroom, screen room, pergola, you're going to love it. They'll come out, provide a free, no-obligation project design, and you will really enjoy your product from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mention the show and get 48 months interest-free financing from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to share with you something that I wish I knew about a while ago, and that is Golden Oak Lending. Listen, we've all been there before, racking up credit card debt, maybe even student loans. I know that I've been there before, but the people over at Golden Oak Lending, they are there to help you. While credit card payments have been at an all-time high and mortgage rates have gone through the roof, there is good news. Mortgage rates have started to come down. Golden Oak Lending has mortgage rates at 5.375% fixed, with customers saving on average $1,114 a month. Golden Oak just makes it so easy. I called in and I spoke with Jason, who just made the call super quick and professional. He was so nice. He really educated us on our current loan situation with our house and what to look for in the future with just a few simple questions. Finance has really never been my thing, but Jason made sure to really educate and guide me to the best solution for my needs. And that's what they do there at Golden Oak Lending. Personalized service that makes you feel heard and really addressing your needs and stress surrounding finances. So call today at 314-567-GOLD now to get started, or go online to goldenoaklending.com and see the reviews for yourself. 5.934% APR, FHA, 15-year fix with 20% equity and qualified credit. Additional terms applies. MLS number 114937.
Recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
After a 5-3 win in Cincinnati yesterday, the Cardinals have a day off in Philadelphia. Tomorrow night, they'll send Miles Michaelis to the mound against Aaron Nola of Philly. He's 6-2 with a 3.04 earned run average. He's very good. He's very good in that ballpark. So the Cardinals will have their hands full with the team with the best record in the National League as they reached 500 yesterday at 27-27 with their win over the Reds.
And you'll have a refreshed Nolan Arenado after he finally got that home run. And he talked about that prior to the game where we talked about that with the sound and everything he was saying about how much obviously he was frustrated with himself, and then he had that great follow-up where he was able to hit a home run, and then he had the day off yesterday, so then he gets another day off today. So I'm interested to see if he can just keep up that momentum from that one game.
Phillies have hit a little bit of a bump in the road. They entered their road trip 6 games up in the NL East. They left the road trip 6 games up in the NL East, but they went 2-4 on the trip. So that's kind of their first bump in the road that they've had in the first 2 months of this season. They've been dominant, so it'll be interesting. You got Sonny Gray, you got Miles Michaelis, you got Kyle Gibson all throwing this weekend, and the Cardinals have momentum. They're 12-3 in their last 15. The starters a 3 ERA, and the Cardinals offense averaging 5.5 runs per game. Lead the National League in batting average, on-base percentage, OPS, and slugging percentage in that time. So very good pitching, very good hitting. No surprise, winning baseball games.
All good. Well, the Cardinals have the day off. The NBA and NHL playoffs continue tonight. The Rangers and Panthers play Game 5 of their series. The pregame is at 6:30 here on 101 ESPN, and that series even at 2 games apiece. The Mavericks and T-Wolves play again tonight in Minnesota. Minnesota still trying to stay alive. They were down 3-0 in the series. Now they're down 3-1. And Luka Doncic has, according to many, ascended to the #1 player in the entire National Basketball Association.
Is there a guy named Tatum that would have a little argument with that?
He would. He might argue himself.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody else is going to argue in his behalf.
I don't think he likes to argue.
We should mention that Jalen Waddle signs an extension today. It's $76 million guaranteed. So now you have A.J. Brown, the highest paid wide receiver in the game, at $32 million. St. Brown is at $30.02. Tyreek Hill, $30 million. Jalen Waddle is at $28.5 roughly, and Devontae Adams at $28. So those are your 5 highest paid wide receivers, and a big payday for Jalen Waddle.
And 3 and 4 with one team, with Hill and Waddle. So spending a lot of money on the wide receiver position. They still haven't had to pay Tua yet, and they will. They still aren't spending a ton of money on the offensive line. By the way, Teron Armstead has a lot of things going on this weekend here in St. Louis. Hopefully we'll be able to nail him down tomorrow and talk a little bit about this. But one thing about the Dolphins is they let a lot of defensive players get away, and their defensive coordinator, but they really don't have, aside from Jalen Ramsey, a star-studded defense anymore.
I'm going to miss watching Van Ginkel. I loved watching that guy. And when they had the injuries, that he was thrusted into more of a end rusher and good player, and they let him go. You're right. There's a lot of guys from that defensive side that are not there, but they put up a ton of points, and they play in warm weather. It just matters when they get November and then December, and can they hold up? And that's not an easy thing to do.
And offensively, last year, the way they started out, I mean, people were making comparisons to the greatest show on turf, which you have to kind of wait a little bit before you can do a comparison to the greatest show on turf.
Let it marinate a little bit.
Let them kind of get through a season and, I don't know, win a championship. Who knows? But at the same time, it kind of fell apart from there towards the end.
Yeah, it kind of did. I can safely predict, I will safely predict here that Tua will never be Kurt Warner.
I can safely agree with you.
Yeah.
Very fair.
So, and whoever they put back there at running back, the really fast rookie or whomever, is not going to be Marshall Faulk. There's the X factor. As great as the Kansas City Chiefs have been, and Mahomes and Kelsey have been magnificent. Aside from Mahomes and Kelsey, is anybody else from that offense making the Hall of Fame?
No.
The Rams have 5.
Soon to be 6.
Right, if you include the coach and Aeneas. So but if you get Torrey, it'll be Torrey, Isaac, Orlando, Kurt, Marshall, right? So almost half of your offense is going to have been in the Hall of Fame. But as great as Kansas City has been, as great as the offenses in New England were, nobody ever had a Marshall Faulk.
No.
Change the game.
Yeah.
I mean, literally changed the game because of what he could do out of the backfield, both as a rusher and a pass catcher, and the fact that he can get out in the flat and make people miss. The best ever.
He is. He's the best all-around back ever. Although Walter Payton was pretty darn good.
Yeah. But you're talking all around.
Matthew.
LaDainian Tomlinson?
Not even close.
Really?
Not even close, no.
Okay.
Marshall was running tight end routes. Yeah, Ernie Conwell didn't catch passes. Roland Williams who got hurt, and Marshall's running tight end routes. Marshall knows exactly what every single player on the offense is supposed to do. He goes and picks up Azakim in Tennessee in a game they wound up losing, but they wouldn't have had a chance to tie that game, try the field goal, if he doesn't pick up Azakim. But he knew exactly what Tom Newton was supposed to be doing on a play. It was unbelievable.
If you knew what Tom Newton was supposed to do, you pretty much knew everything.
Yeah.
If you knew where the offensive line guys are supposed to be doing and where they go, that's incredible.
Knew every protection.
That's incredible.
And then could play any position. And they did. They would put him out there when Torrey got hurt in the playoff game against Tampa. What are they doing? They're putting Marshall out there wide.
Yep.
So he was amazing. There is your rush hour reset. How we got into Marshall Falk, I don't know, but we did.
All over the place.
Coming up, we're 2 months into the season. What have we determined that the Cardinals need in 2 months with 2 months to go until the deadline? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, did you pick up the donut that Nolan Gorman gave you? Nolan Gorman gave you a donut at Schnucks by hitting a home run yesterday. If you haven't heard yet, here's what Schnucks is doing with the Cardinals. If the Cardinals hit a home run, you score a free donut the next day at Schnucks. It's donuts for dingers, and it's every single game for the rest of the season when you download the Schnucks Rewards app. So you watch the game and you see a Cardinal player hit a home run, you know that you can go to Schnucks the next day for a free, freshly made donut. Just get the app. Make sure that you have the coupon out and ready because you'll have to hurry. This is while supplies last. You already know that Schnucks has the best donuts in town, and they taste even better when they're free. Donuts for dingers. When the Cardinals hit a home run, all you have to do is download the Schnucks Rewards app and pick out that coupon in the app, and you will be good to go. Donuts for dingers when the Cardinals hit a home run, only in the Schnucks Rewards app.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals win another series, this time taking 2 of 3 against the Reds. They will start a series against the Phillies tomorrow night with a 5:40 first pitch in Philadelphia. Last night in the NHL playoffs, the Oilers over the Stars 5-2 to even that series up at 2 apiece. Another even series in the Eastern Conference tonight. Panthers and Rangers Game 5 on 101 ESPN starts at 6:30. Also, NBA playoffs Game 5 tonight. Mavs and T-Wolves. Mavericks leading that series 3-1. That tip-off is tonight at 7:30. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
All right, we're 2 months into the season. We've already done April and May. We've got June and July before the trade deadline, and then August and September. And the Cardinals have been a different team this month than they were last month. They've gone 12-3 in their last 15. They've reached the 500 mark, but they still have needs. And with 2 months to go before the deadline, these are things that could change. But what do you guys think that the biggest need is? I really haven't changed from what I said during the offseason after the Cardinals made their signings. I still think they need a front-of-the-rotation starting pitcher.
Pitching. I would also look at the bullpen. You've relied heavily on Romero, Kittredge, and Helsley, so if you can find some depth there, I think that's... And usually you can find that at the deadline. You can find bullpen guys. Trying to find a front of the rotation type starter. Are they there? Yeah, but are you going to have to give up a lot? Yes, and... Do they want to, dip their toe into those waters? I don't really see that yet. Not yet.
And we didn't mention that John Denton reported that it looks like Keenan Middleton is on his way to Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, so that's not going to be an option for him. I agree with you guys. I think it is pitching, and more pitching, because not to take anything away from what Andre Pallante did yesterday, which I think surprised a lot of people. That was very important. He definitely earned another start, but you still have to figure things out. One, with the bullpen situation with Middleton, you don't have that happening. Now you have Matthew Liberatore, though, as another option in your pen. But I think that it also speaks to the pitching depth that you only had Pallante really as a viable option at this point in the season. So you need to go out and acquire more pitching.
I'd say health, too. Getting Contreras back will change the lineup even more. The Cardinals, when they score 4 or more, are 20-5 this year. 4 or more, 20-5. When they score 3 or fewer, they're 7-22. So offense, you could maybe say, okay, we got these guys that are giving us, 5 or 6 innings, but we can outslug teams, which I can't believe that we're saying that after, a couple weeks ago, what's going on. But hey, the offense has picked it up, and the big guys need to be the big guys, as we talk about a lot. But they're starting to get, Mason Wynn, you got Nolan Gorman, you've got Donovan getting better. These younger players are chipping in. So when I look at if I was going to tweak the team at all, it'd probably be with pitching. You don't know about the number 5 starter yet in Andre Pallante, but just generally speaking, I would say pitching.
Yeah, you need that option. For you guys, just so far to this point, what has been the biggest surprise this season for the Cardinals?
I'd say the emergence of Mason Wynn for me. I knew he was going to be good. I didn't think he'd be this good, both defensively, and I know he's had his share of errors, but he's been a spark plug in this offense, and I thought he'd be more of a complimentary guy offensively, and he's been more than that.
I'm surprised that all 3 new starters have earned run averages below 4. That you've got a 3.8, you've got a 3.45, and then Gray having the same sort of year, although without the durability that he had last year. I figured that if they got what those pitchers, I wanted more from Lynn, because Lynn was almost at a 6 last year, but I figured those guys would have an earned run average between 4.5 and 5.
I think you got to give Mo a lot of credit on those. Mm-hmm. Those 3 you got to give him credit for, and I think you got to look at the way that he's redone the bullpen. Romero was a great deal for Edmundo Sosa. Kittredge for Palacios. That's turned out well. You're homegrown with Helsley. So, as much heat as he takes on certain things, and that's what we have in a baseball town, you're going to get that. He deserves a lot of credit for the guys he brought in.
Do you think he's sitting somewhere just laughing to himself, listening to this, saying, you see, patience does pay off?
Yeah, probably.
Give it 2 more months, and then he maybe is laughing. Let's see how it all holds up.
But even in the situation with Pallante yesterday. I was not expecting that whatsoever, but that was the organization and Ollie Ramal having patience with him, knowing that maybe that could be the outcome of what he would be able to do, at least buy them some time, or maybe he could surprise everybody and turn into a starter for them.
Well, last year you think about having Flaherty, and you take him out after 2 2/3 or 3 2/3 or 4 1/3, and then you didn't know what was going to happen when you brought the reliever in. Now, you're getting more innings because you can trust your starting pitching for a longer time. Same thing with Waino last year, by the way, and pretty much the entire rotation. But you have a much more reliable bullpen to go to, too.
Yeah, I think that they could get veteran guys not on the cheap, but you wouldn't have to give up a ton. And you started this about the trade deadline and where you're at in 2 months. And a lot of it, to me, is going to be contingent on what happens with your fifth starter. And maybe they maybe they find something out here with Pallante that makes him a viable fifth starter spot, which then changes the way that you think about it. But I think you're right, Randy. I mean, going into a short series, you have Sonny Gray, but if you could add one more guy that gives you a chance to get over the hump, that would be something I think you have to look at.
What about Sim Robberse? I know that obviously they haven't called him up yet, but when will be the right time? The reason that they haven't called him up yet, I'm assuming, is that they want more seasoning for him. And also, this is just a very important time for the Cardinals to pick up some wins, and that could be a really tough situation to put a young pitcher in. When do you think is the right time to bring up Sim?
Ineffectiveness with your fifth starter. If Pallante takes it and runs with it, then there's no sense of urgency to bring him up. But I like what you're saying, though, too, is that he did not have a lot of time in the minor leagues in terms of AAA experience. So getting him more experience, I think, is important.
Yeah, and they are so process-oriented. It's not going to be based on actual pitching results. It's going to be when they're happy with his stuff. That's when he's going to get called up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are excited to see him.
Yeah, should be interesting.
I want to see Pallante. After what I saw yesterday and his assortment of pitches and the way that he went about it, especially with a two-seamer to a right-hander and getting right-handed bats out and all the ground balls that he got, I'm excited. I want to see more of that and give him another start or two and see if he can't fit that role.
What about that sinker against Jonathan India?
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, he had good velocity. His off-speed stuff was sharp, efficient, 53 pitches at the start of the fifth inning. Yeah, I think you'd take that every fifth day for sure.
Coming up here on 101 ESPN, we're going to head down the stretch with Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN. I get a chance to spend a lot of time over at Lindenwood University. I go to games. I'm on the President's Council over there, so I got to get a chance to get around and see what a great time the students are having at Lindenwood. And if you or your youngster still haven't decided where to go to college, Lindenwood is a great place to get a great education without breaking the bank. It's one of the most affordable private colleges in St. Louis, and you won't have to sacrifice quality for incredible value. Apply today or schedule a visit online at lindenwood.edu. I attended Lindenwood, and it was amazing then. But, man, you look at that campus now and what they have to offer, and it really is incredible. It's a Division I experience with Division I sports. They have over 50 different student clubs and organizations and over 100 degrees, minors, and certificates. Small class sizes, which I love, 15-to-1 student ratio, and a lot of financial aid, $12,500 in average financial aid awarded per traditional student. So if you go to Lindenwood, it's going to be inexpensive, and it's going to be a great education, and it's only 30 minutes from the heart of downtown St. Louis. If you're looking for a great place to go to college, it's Lindenwood University. Now for Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Danny Mac, Randy, and Matthew. What do you got for us?
Well, we were getting some text today because basically revolving around this ruling that we talked about the other day, which is the Negro League stats are being incorporated in Major League Baseball stats. And ESPN actually just posted an article earlier today about some reactions from the players who obviously think it's a really cool thing. And I honestly, that's kind of been my reaction because we've been getting some negative comments on the text and the YouTube, which I think are really odd. Jordan Hicks was quoted as saying, "I think it's a pretty cool thing that you show recognition. It was two different leagues, but it's still baseball at the end of the day, and then whenever they came together, you saw that the guys stood out in the Negro Leagues, really performed in Major League Baseball. So I think it's fair that they were still the same guy in the Negro League as they were in Major League Baseball. Those stats should match up, especially if it was in the same era." And this got me looking because we got somebody who asked a question, what about Hank Aaron's Negro League stats? Does that change the home run race between him and Barry Bonds?
Willie Mays as well.
Here's the thing. So, according to this stat, Willie Mays is actually one player whose career stats will actually change. They're going to add 10 hits to Willie Mays' career stats from his 1948 season with the Birmingham Black Barons. That increases his total to 3293 in hits. Minnie Mimoso, Jackie Robinson, also players who are getting their stats changed. But Hank Aaron's home run number will actually not change. So they have the numbers that say that he hit 5 home runs in the Negro League. So that his total would still be 2 short of Barry Bonds because Barry Bonds passed him by 7. But he actually is not going to get those 5 home runs because if you break down how they actually went in and did these stats, essentially the statisticians all got together over a number of meetings to kind of figure out which stats make sense, which stats don't. Essentially, there's a hard stop with the Negro National League in 48. And then after that, the Negro American League keeps playing. And that's where they said this is where the skill level drops off in the Negro Leagues from a major league level to a non-major league level. And so there's a lot of people out here who are also in their complaints have been saying, well, you can't compare them because the leagues aren't the same. They're not the same level. That's the entire thing that has been going into this discussion, is that they were parsing through these stats and trying to figure out which stats make sense to actually call major league stats. And these guys went through years and years of numbers, and they found this is when the Negro League played a major league level. This is when it drops off. These are the stats that we're going to count. And so, first of all, I think it's fascinating which ones aren't and which ones will.
Yeah, like how did they figure that out?
Essentially, it's all about, I guess, like just the level of competition and how many players were getting moved from the Negro Leagues to Major League Baseball and how many were still being just
That's
stuck
fair.
in the Negro Leagues. For example, Ernie Banks, Negro American League, so his stats won't change at all because all of his come in after that hard stop. But I do think and more so, I just want to talk about how this just shows the statistical analysis they did to pick which stats actually do now get incorporated into Major League Baseball. This isn't just picking and choosing of saying, now we want Josh Gibson to be the number one guy in all these numbers. Let's just pick every single stat he put in. They went through and they picked out the years where the Negro League was barnstorming and maybe didn't have the level of competition.
Sure.
They took that stuff out. They added in those years. I just really think it's fascinating how much work they put into this and the fact that they went through this because, like the players are all saying, giving the recognition and making it known to the history of the game, I think it's important, and I think this is an easier way for people 10, 20, 50 years from now to now learn about the Negro Leagues in ways they haven't when I was, say, coming up in the 90s.
So that's here we are talking about it. That's, to me, why you do this is, and I said this earlier, I have 4 children, and I don't know if they even realized there was a Negro Leagues. And that's why if you go down to the Cardinals Hall of Fame Museum and you see the display on the stars, somebody stops and says, now, wait a minute. What is this? Why was this going on? What happened? So you learn more through baseball, I think, about our country and the travesties that were happening by going through baseball and looking at this and a young person saying, what's going on here? And you teach them about that. I think that's really important.
It's important to teach history just so that things do not repeat themselves. I think that's the biggest thing there. And just learning more about these players. I mean, Josh Gibson, I'm so much more interested in learning about everything that he's done now. I feel like everybody is as well, and just figuring out more of who he was. Should they be doing a story about him?
Well, there's been plenty of them on him.
Is there a movie?
Don't know if there's a movie.
That'd be pretty fascinating.
But
I'd want a movie.
When they've done documentaries on the Negro Leagues, he is prominently talked about for sure as kind of being one of the faces of that league.
Yeah. And what MLB said, and it's not inaccurate, is that statistics are stories in and of themselves, and they're telling a story here by allowing these statistics to be part of Major League Baseball's lore.
And the other thing is the dimensions haven't changed. That's something to consider. The dimensions in sports sometimes change, and in this case they haven't, so that's another reason you can kind of add these stats in.
That's another thing is people are like, you can't just combine different leagues, and I'm like, well, we've had issues on the fight where AFL stats are considered right alongside NFL stats, and they're like, well, that's different. And I'm like, well, why don't you create an Arena League or CFL? Well, those are literally different sports. The rules of the game making it completely different sport. Downs and distances are different. The field's different. All that stuff is different. And so that's a weird argument. We also get a text here. They were talking about Greg Amsinger, obviously mentioned this earlier in his interview. You can go back and listen to that on the Dobbs Tire Auto Centers podcast. He says it's ridiculous to put Gibson up next to Cobb. He says he faced inferior pitching. There's no question that it's not a fair comparison. My thing here is why do we have it stuck in our head that pre-integrated baseball MLB players obviously faced unbelievably top pitching. Yeah. None of them they faced the top pitchers, bar none. But yet pre-integrated Negro League players didn't face a level of competition. Didn't face a fair level of competition. I think that's an insane thing. The same way that Ty Cobb wasn't having to face off against anybody in a pre-integrated Major League Baseball. Yeah, Josh Gibson didn't have to, but they were playing who was in front of him. If we give Ty Cobb, we give Babe Ruth, we give all these players pre-integration credit, I don't know why we have an issue all of a sudden with giving the Negro League players credit.
I agree.
It's a weird argument to me, but I'm glad baseball did it.
Yeah, I am too. And I think we can safely assume with the success of the Negro League players once baseball became integrated, I think we can safely assume that they were as good as their brethren in the major leagues.
And many of them proved that. Yeah. And by having long major league careers.
And another one came in and says, well, players would play for a lot of different teams back then, so we don't know the stats. Again, the premise here is that they had a large group of people meet like half a dozen times and pour through these stats. If you just took every single number available to Josh Gibson, you would now be saying that he is the home run king with like 800 home runs. But they parsed through those 800 home runs, and they took like 400 of them that happened in barnstorming games and against games of lower competition, and they're not including them in these stats. The entire point of this is so that those stats don't get included. The entire point of that is so that all of this statistical unknowingness and ignorance around Negro League stats is being parsed out because they sat there and they did the work. This isn't just throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what stuck. They did the work.
By the way, for the careers of people like Greg Maddux and John Smoltz and Tom Glavine, as opposed to a guy like Clemens, who spent the majority of his career in the American League, those guys in the National League for 50 years didn't have to face the DH. So how can you... Those two leagues had different rules and different situations, right? How can you say that an American League pitcher between 1973 and 2022 was the same as a National League pitcher? They weren't, because they were facing different types of talent.
And it should have been automatic outs, with the pitcher there. I guess you could say strategy would be part of the argument, but not really. I mean, I don't buy into that. I'm just trying to throw it out there.
Yeah, but for the most part, a DH was a number 4 or 5 hitter,
absolutely,
as opposed to a pitcher who was generally an automatic out, that those pitchers had the advantage of facing for their careers.
I always go back to like the Seattle lineup that included Edgar Martinez, who goes into the Hall of Fame as a DH. Take him out of the equation, how much different is it to face the Seattle Mariners?
There you go.
It's a lot different.
Right.
A lot different.
Yeah.
Tad bit.
Yep.
Tad bit.
Yep.
So, great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
This is just you didn't say. I had a great time.
I had a great time.
There we
Does
go.
that help you, Randy?
Thanks.
Yes.
That's better. Yeah, you're the best.
You are too, buddy. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great Friday Eve, everyone. Hey, I want you to know about 20